Did you just want Thomas or you want all of us?
Give me a couple of seconds. I want to talk about this whole debate thing. I woke up to a couple of emails and them, feeling them down there on their live. Shout out to them. And asked a couple of people who hit me, a couple of people that people that I really respect hitting me. And, and they got a couple of questions dealing with certain things. Let me skip that and make sure I can get set up here. Make sure I get set up. I want to make sure everybody is on. Oh, grace and peace. How are you? I didn't know you were here. Are you can you talk?
Yeah, I'm gonna go into one of the meeting rooms and then I'm gonna stay on my phone, but I'm gonna go in one of the meeting rooms and talk.
Oh, okay. I just hit Brandon and some other people. I want to talk a little bit about this. Oh, grace and peace, Punter. Lot, I see you. Chris, Jesus TV. I want to talk about this questions that I really have from some other people. Questions from some other people that I have, and I want to talk about this conscious community and do y'all think, as different types of believers that listen, do y'all think debates are worth it? Do y'all think debates are good? Even if you think debates are good, do you think who would you like to see debate? Who would you like to see debate if you do think they're good? But there were some questions that were coming in, so I was saying we're gonna take a little time and answer some of these questions from some individuals. But let me see who else. Hey, grace and peace. Tell me what y'all think. Did you see anything? Did you get any mail or see anything this morning concerning, the video that we put out, some conversations that's been going on? It's a lot happening. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I got a lot of emails and I got a lot of messages, messenger, be on messenger, be in my email, and some people got my number, be in my personal number. What do y'all think about, just debates in general, before I even get to the questions that people have? What do y'all think about debates? I just hung up from Jabari. Like I said, I was talking to a couple of different people. Not Jabari, Garfield, excuse me. And and he's going to send me a link. Because I did challenge him on that 16 crucified saviors and banging, and he said he was on Blog Talk Radio, so he's going to send me something. I'm not too big to apologize on some stuff, but they're still gonna get that business. Now, my thing is, we were thinking a lot of this stuff had to do with a lot of finances, but if the conscious community got some information that they believe can help move us on as a people, if they feel the church is holding us back as a people, this information needs to come out. Am I fair with that, Punter? Or is this the work of the devil? I'm going to read some of these comments because they're a couple of seconds behind us. Come on, Brown, you got the floor. If you can, hopefully you're muted.
Grace and peace, everybody. I just don't see what they'll have that we can't get our hands on, or that we don't already have. I don't know. I just don't understand. We already have the information and we have access to the information. We actually have more access to information than our forefathers ever did. So I don't understand what new information they could teach us. And the only information that they could teach would be dealing with the financial system, but that's dealing with the material world that has nothing to do with your spirituality.
Elder Harris, you can talk, or Sister E, because I want to ask y'all the same question. I'm going to read what the Punter said in a second. Go ahead.
I can talk.
How do I sound?
You sound great. Whoever wants to go first.
Y'all know this ain't about teaching. Come on now, let's be real. This is about banging. At the end of the day, they ain't trying to teach us nothing, Jason. They wanna show off. So if they want to, man, look, I don't see nothing wrong with it. But it ain't about no teaching.
But I do gotta, but to be honest, one of the things that I fear, I shouldn't say fear, but one of the things that kind of got me is, like I said last night, there's some things that certain people can bring out from the conscious community that we haven't been equipping the laity for. And that's who I'm more concerned with, the laity. What do you think about that, Elder Harris? The regular people, there has been always talk in seminary, and it hasn't all come down, like even Father G said, it hasn't all come down to the saints. And people lose their salvation from knowledge in the conscious community, Sister Punter. Go ahead, Elder Harris, and I'm going to read some of these comments. I don't want to miss nobody.
Okay, well, Well, here's my take on debating firsthand. My position on debate really should be more inclined to conversation that could enhance a certain group. For example, me representing Christianity, my purpose for having a conversation in a debating format is to show evidence or to have dialogue that helps a person in their faith walk. That would be my only purpose in doing that, or either to correct some of the things that has already been put out there. Now, in relevance to our communities, if there were things that could be implemented, I won't say shared, implemented, because they haven't been, it would have been already out there. If there were jobs, it was entrepreneurial programs, all of these things, we're not even talking about on a spiritual level, but if it was just things of that nature, that the conscious community or any other community that could enhance our people and their development, it would be already implemented. It's just a lot of talk. All of us talk. Everything that I've gathered from the opposition of Christianity is all centered around hatred of things that has happened 400 years plus ago, that there's so much animosity. Now, I don't like the idea of what happened, by no means, but I'm not going to sit there and sob in it. I'm going to try to create avenues that help myself, that helps my family, and that helps others. Now, as far as my belief is concerned, I know that my belief as a follower of Jesus Christ is something that enhances not just myself and my family, but also my community. And that is being proven. That has been proven in many ways, coming out of incarceration, coming out of broken relationships, dealing with satanic practices. Yes, all these things have been proven that we have helped more in the community in that facet than any other. And I don't care if it's a African spiritualist or community of conscious people. If you do a comparison between the two, the Christian faith has helped more than any other. That's my point on a debate and our community.
All right, let me just read one thing because I'm gonna ask you a question. Because remember, a few days ago, they watching now. A few days ago, you actually said that I think it was Elijah Muhammad. That was you, Elder. You said you said you got a book or two from Elijah Muhammad. Hold on to that thought because we're gonna start dealing with some other stuff when we talk about questions.
Okay, I'll hold on to it.
All right, Punter said yes. Where did it go? She said, yes, they're good. They'll reach people with truth that wouldn't otherwise seek it. I think this debating and discussion is good. That's how come I want a variety of people here and people can hear how we can dialogue without being disrespectful and have different views. So I think in that sense that it's okay. LaRon said, who wants to smoke? Just conscious community in general. A lot of people didn't like the way a lot of stuff went down. And I don't ever want to be having a platform where they saying that Berean or the Christians are suppressing any truth. We got to be careful with that, Brown. I wish Brandon would tell me that good talk he was talking about earlier. I wish he would get on here and say that right now. He said, listen, come on, Brandon. Brandon, get the microphone for a minute. Get the microphone for a minute. I know you might be in a truck or whatever, unless you in the, are you in the building? Go ahead,
yeah,
sorry.
I'm inside of the building. Is it, y'all hear noise behind me? Because it's a forklift.
No, you sound great.
Oh, okay. Well, the stuff that I was saying, I think an issue that we have right now is, are we going to side with truth, or are we going to keep doing things the status quo? And what I mean by that is, if we're going to Vince Bantu, Eric Mason, Woke Church, whoever church gonna come out and say that the Christianity that the white man presented is not biblical, then we got some work to do. And we got some work to do. And if we're not gonna do that work, then everybody just cooning and want to keep their pocketbooks lined and want to keep getting that bread. Because if we're gonna say that, we better know what we're saying. We better know what Pandora's box we opening up, because if we gonna do it, we got to go back to the way it was done when people was dying for the faith. Not to say that we're in a position that we have to do that at this particular moment, but the tenets of the faith, whatever they saying is not right, we can't hold and uplift what you saying ain't right. And that's what we've been doing in this good old USA of America. So either we're gonna do it, or we're gonna show and prove that that ain't what this thing's supposed to look like, and we're gonna fix what we doing from top to bottom. Don't matter who like it. It don't matter if you lose everything for the faith, so the next generation know what's up, or we just clown and we
Wow,
pretend.
that's wow. That listen, Collins, y'all heard that. I'm gonna be quiet on that one. Y'all heard that. You heard it. Hotep Moses. Y'all heard what it is. Collins said debating is biblical. Somebody has said I want to see Richardson and Polite. That's gonna be all right. That would be interesting, but something's gonna have to give. We're gonna have to keep talking. We blowing shots at them, they blowing shots at us, and I can get ignorant at times, but we need to get down here and get this information out there. But somebody else was saying, if somebody want to jump in, somebody else was saying that the church isn't really ready. Who was that? Yeah, the Black Christian church followers are not, big letters, DJ say this, ready for the info that the conscious community have. How do y'all feel about those two things? What DJ just said and what you just heard from Brandon is a brother in the faith, but he represents that mentality. They're younger than me, but we got people talking like, what we gonna do with that?
I agree with that. I would agree with that because most of us, if you want to be honest, most of the so-called Christian of the days, you can almost say 75% of them, once they leave Sunday service, don't touch that Bible. And most of them are not looking at historical references to the Bible. They just
amen to that, brother. Amen. Speak on that.
Let me mute him. Let me mute him right now. He muted himself. That's the slick stuff they be doing. Unmute himself real fast.
So I feel Brandon, because if you do go to the principles that's established in the Word, a lot of these churches gonna be exposed for the money game, the music game, mixing church and state, abusing the people, taking that money. They the only ones that got a big house and fancy car, and everybody else in there starving, stealing benevolent offerings and, all this craziness. They're going to have to show and prove that. So when the conscious community, I do understand their pain on that note, because we feel it. That's why we give a lot of this information, so people can start to get interested in certain things. So it to a certain degree, there is nothing wrong with debate, because even the Bible said, come now, let us reason together. Let us sit and reason together. You hear us, we hear you, and then we try to find, come to a parallel or even balance within things. So I can agree with the brother. That is true. You're going to have to, if we're going by the principles of the Bible, especially New Testament, the gospel, loving your neighbor and loving God, we're going to have to do it, and you're going to have to change, period.
All right. And as far as that information, the churches are ready for that information. But hold on a second. Y'all heard what Brandon said. And I'm being that I'm a little bit older and stuff like that. I get a little ignorant, and I get to saying some stuff when the church people aggravate me, and I just want to share what I want to share. But I have been known to delete a video or two because of the church side in me, and deep down inside I grew up. You can't really talk about the church. You hear me, G consciousness, you can't really talk. And I want Harris to unmute herself right now. I want the Ella say nothing. You can't really talk about the church. These people sometimes they can just beat you into submission, not physically beaten, but throwing shade, little, church folk would throw little shade. So I said, Lord, just help me. Now listen to me. Now listen to me, Brandon. That's like about, well, I don't want to use certain words, but I'm like, I know that Halloween is coming. And I'm not going to bother them because they say I'm legalistic. I talk about Easter. I talk about the egg. I said Halloween's coming, and the little girl said her kids ain't dressing like demons. They dressing like angels. And she a minister. So I just said, I'm going to just leave these folk alone. I'm going to leave these folk alone right now. But I know there's something deep down inside that's driving me. To address some things, but those aren't the right things to address. Those aren't the things to get you engagements. Those aren't the things to make the regular church people your friends, because they like regular church stuff. And some things have been so deeply, Brandon, intertwined in the church that it's just part of it. I don't know if it's church, if it's Western civilization, but when we say we got to get back to what Brandon may be addressing as the primitive belief on Messiah, that could be a problem, and it's hard. And if I'm feeling so much pressure, imagine somebody that got a church, that got members, that got kids, that's rocking out the tree, that's having Easter parties, that's, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Brother Berean, can I speak on that?
Oh boy, I thought he was busy at work. Come on and speak on it.
I am, but my hands are free.
All right.
And my voice. But nevertheless, when it comes to what the conscious community is speaking on, I'm glad they are. Mainly because we've sat down and covered up madness inside our church for a very long time. And we supposed to have been doing the work of the Lord instead of sitting on our behinds and collecting money and sitting in the air conditioning.
Wait a minute, let me stop you right there. Grace and peace, we appreciate you, Johnson. Bro, a lot. Listen to this. While I'm amping you up. Johnson is amping you right now. I'm looking at this. Peace, bro. A lot of preachers in Detroit are living high on the hog. Makes me sick to see it. Go ahead.
So in relations to that, a lot of our comrades in Christ have walked away from the church because they're saddened by it. And I'm actually saddened by it because of the fact that I see what I see. Now, I'm a minister, I'm an elder in the church, but I often get is saddened by this particular case. The church itself does need to do a house cleaning, and I've mentioned this more than once. We're responsible for holding on and protecting the faith and keeping the faith, not just among ourselves, but among other believers. So with that being said, if that has been consistent in our walk and in our work, then a lot of this falling away you would not see. So now we're going to either have to put up or shut up, because we still have accountability whether we take it on or not, especially us men folk.
And then what's so crazy? Why Rev C? Well, grace and peace, Rev C. You at work? Why Rev C not in here? Listen to this. I'm gonna tell y'all something right now. Is it Brandon? I'm gonna ask you this, Brandon. Oh, I'm sorry, Sister. I didn't see your hand, but I'm gonna put this out there. Can you really be involved in apologetics in this day, urban apologetics? I don't know what our European brothers and sisters are dealing with in their apologetics and their middle class, communities or whatever. But can you be in the hood? Can you be a Black person in America, not all Black people, but can you be a Black person, a person involved in urban apologetics on the block and not address the wrongs in the church? Is that even possible, Brandon? Or you're fooling yourself saying you want to go halfway, you want to be a half apologist for the church? Because when you deal with apologetics, you're dealing with questions and answers. People are going to ask you about that slavery in that book. I know it's a big, long thing. They're just going to be like, why did God let us go into slavery? And they're going to quote that book. I'm just using it for example. Of course, there's long explanations that we can give them. But what do you think about that, Brandon? Can you be involved in urban apologetics and not speak on some of the things that have been going on in the church? Because I know people's involved in apologetics, and they would often tell people, they say, listen, that's just a demon. Get your mind off it. The church is God's body. You got to get out your sin and confess Jesus, and I want to explain to you, and all of that stuff. Come on, Brandon, help me out. I know he's in the facility, so if he can't, Sister E, you speak to that whilst I'm looking at that. Trust and believe, grace and peace, brother.
I think we have to go back to the basics and really pretty much take the leaven out of the faith. Things have been added in the faith to the point, some of this stuff that people are doing in the church is not even biblical. Orthodoxy is not always biblical. Everybody says orthodoxy.
Wait a minute.
Listen,
wait a minute now.
Let me finish.
Wait a minute.
Let me finish my point. I'm saying that some things that came from the church fathers, we got to even look at that. People are afraid to say that because they don't want to be labeled as a heretic. Let's return.
Hey, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go
I'm
ahead.
done.
I'm gonna. You
I'm
just
done.
reminded me of something. No, because when Garfield called me, he had Unc on the phone. I'm like, listen, I didn't want to talk to Unc. Unc talking about Berean and his team over there. They're heretics. Unc done call us heretics. I'm now an atheist. Shout out to Unc. An atheist done called us heretics. I'm done. I don't even know where to go with that right there. But come on, Sister E, go ahead and finish it up. I want to read. There's a few things that I want to read in here. I want to read in here. That was Punter said that we have to address the wrongs. We cannot play. No, you got to talk about. No, that's a side conversation. The Black church inability to deal with facts have been crippling the institution. Brown, you heard that. That's DJ. That's DJ. I'm gonna read it again. I'm gonna read it again slow for the back of the church. The Black church's inability to deal with facts have been crippling the institution. Come on, Brown.
I would agree. The
you don't have to agree
suppression
with
of
everything these people say, bro.
I understand, but you got to agree, because people sugarcoating and whitewashing the word. Everybody trying to jump straight to spirit instead of dealing with the facts and fundamentals first. I mean, you got to agree with that. They've been whitewashing. They regurgitate sermons that have been here for hundreds of years instead of actually getting into that word. We got papyri now. We got Hebrew. We got apps that can help you with translations. You can get more out of the word than what you've been doing all these years. So I got to agree with that.
Okay, anybody else? Whilst I'm reading some of this stuff and trying
Can
to
I finish my point?
Yes, ma'am. I thought you. I'm so sorry. Go ahead. I don't want to.
What I'm trying to say is this: we have gotten so caught up in tradition that some traditions have nothing to do with the Bible. And when you call people out on it, they get in their feelings because they're comfortable about traditions. We got to be real. Some of this stuff that they doing in the church ain't got nothing to do with the word of God. People get in their feelings, but you know what? We got to be real. We adults. We grown. Everybody needs to get out their feelings and say, some things we doing ain't Bible.
Grace and peace, Jones.
Look into it.
And that's that. All right, White. All right, White. I'm admitted. I'm admitted that could very well be it. But is that the issue we have to deal with? Are people forcing us to do that? Sure, we have checked it already. People, because you can say what you want. Camps have been using that. Oh, that church and this and that. Camps have been using that, White. Conscious community pointing things out. And somebody hit me with big letters, with them capital letters. Berean, I don't care what the church has done. If you look at the amount of the money the churches all over America have took in compared to what they have put out, don't tell me nothing. Come on, White, get the microphone and help me get these folk mind off of the money and point it and point them to Jesus.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and talk about all these heretics that you got on here.
Thank you, sir.
And sort of like try to bring our focus back to local assemblies and not trying to lump every church into sort of what we see on the big stage, but on a small scale. So I think that we need to bring attention to all the churches that have been faithful over the years, all these smaller churches. So in my church, there's definitely a church on nearly every corner. Now I'll say that, a lot of these churches, we do, have things in common. We fellowship with them on occasion, but overall, we come together when it's necessary. We come together for our community. That includes white, black, and any other religious. We got a large Hispanic population in my city as well, but we don't have. I think we have like one what you would consider a mega church. My church is a larger church in Springfield with 700 people on the roll, but not that I actually attend on a regular basis. But when it comes to these, we're just trying to be faithful to what God has called us to do, and that's to do ministry. And I know that a lot of people have an issue with the church not doing for the community, but most people don't understand that that the church is called to help one another first. So each member is called to help one another first, and then to the community. And so and you can do all of the above, for was it Judea, Samaria, and the uttermost parts of the world. So you got to do the first one, then two, then three, before you can begin to affect the rest of those. And the thing is that you have to start with the local assembly first in order to then affect the rest of what you're doing. So an example is in my community, we're involved in justice. Specifically, we've been working on an issue with drug court. Instead of sending drug offenders to users, specifically to jail, why not send them to rehab to actually fix the problems? And if you know anything about drugs, it's the Black community the worst. But now it's spilling into the white community. So now the white people are starting to care. And so, my thing is that, if we're coming together to fix our communities, then eventually they will be fixed. But again, I think that we should take our eyes off of the mega churches and what they're doing with the money. And we should bring our focus back to what all the other small churches are doing. And there certainly are some mega churches that are out there doing some good and not stealing money. So the ones that you see, for the main part, they do some underhanded things. I think that we need to talk about those things, but we also need to talk about the good that the church is doing.
To bring a little bit of balance, that's good. That's good, because a lot of people get upset about banging on the church all the time. I want to read something to you though. Can I? This is Ernest Holton. I'm sorry. Can I put up a Christmas tree and still be a believer? I'm in apologetics also. I'd like to give that to you, being that you already have the microphone. I'd like to give that to you, White.
Read that again.
Can I put up a Christmas tree and still be a believer? I'm in apologetics also. And you be an apologist and have a Christmas tree.
Listen. My wife wants to celebrate Christmas. I want to stay married. There's going to be a Christmas tree in my house. Do whatever you do.
Okay, all right. All right. You heard that. Let me see if there's any more questions. While somebody
and I don't feel any less Christian about that. So if you feel less Christian about it, do what you need to do.
Okay,
but
let me see.
But if you feel convicted about that Christmas tree, you're not married and it brings no conflict. Because a lot of times I think that we bring extra issues onto ourselves by sort of putting certain things that were never meant to be put on us. And so holidays, as far as the Christmas holiday, it is a Western holiday. It's been, if some people look at it, they'll say it's highly commercial, and that aspect is definitely that aspect is definitely saddening to me, that we put so much emphasis on the giving of gifts, the going out to purchase them and wait in lines and all these things, instead of valuing our families and spending time with our families. And also, if you were brought up in the tradition of celebrating the birthday of Jesus, which we know he wasn't born on the 25th, but if you want to celebrate that, I don't see a problem with these things. And so a lot of people will put their beliefs onto you, and not really, and then try to force scripture into it.
Listen to this. All right. I often say, well, y'all know my position with it. I say, because there's so many camps and so many people are using certain things like that against us, that we should abandon it, at least abandon it in every single church. If people like you want to have it in your personal home, that's one thing, but we bring it in church on the altar. Listen to this, Jason. I want Jason to listen to this. Moses said, "Come out of her, my people. Eliminate all European holidays that are of the heathens and promote white economic development." We're gonna touch on that right there. That's Moses. Moses always up in here. We gotta he gonna come with some interesting stuff. Brown is in. Okay, go ahead.
Come out of her. I mean, in one aspect, I can understand because you're not supposed to be in the world. We do have to live in this world, but you don't have to take part in the things of the world. Same as white. I don't feel it's a problem if instead of you using that day for negativity and what they started it for, you starting your own tradition, making it a holy day or another day to reference God. I don't see a problem with that. But I can halfway agree with Ra Moses on that aspect as far as taking on the world and bringing it into the church.
Okay. Always learning. So missed the point. Oh no, that was White saying something there. Somebody else said Jules, his wife, runs relationship.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was responding to Always Learning. He said, basically talking about my response, that with that logic, can I be homosexual and still be a Christian? Sin is not based on your marital status. Is a Christian to sin? Then he brings Jeremiah 10:2 into it, warns against the pagan.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying. And people would. Well, I guess that's an example of what you're saying, forcing certain things
Exactly.
into the scriptures. Has the conscious community caused the problem by questions? Coupled with Facebook, have they caused the problem? Because they've always been on the scene, but they've been, it wasn't so prevalent when I was heavy into it, like 20 years ago, or whatever. It wasn't so prevalent, 22 years ago, whatever. It wasn't so prevalent, but now because of Facebook, it's even spreading more. So you think questions can damage, or people seeing debates and stuff can damage some things? Do you believe that? Matter of fact, do you believe that a believer, there could even really be a debate, or certain things are just belief? Somebody said, well, a conscious community, Christians can't deal with the conscious community. We come with facts, y'all come with beliefs. Speak on that a little bit right there.
If we needed facts for everything and we needed everything validated, there would be no need for faith. And if we could do that, why would we need God?
Wait a minute. Who just said who in the world? Somebody said, let's talk games. Church already is exposed. Their members just don't care. A lot of people see, a lot of people look at the, like some people would say, the bad side of the church. Read what Rev C said right there. Paul told the Galatians that I have become your enemy by speaking truth to you. Yes. Nothing's wrong with starting an issue with words or correction. All right, that might be something different. Correction is needed. All right, that could be something different I'm reading. All right, anybody else? I'm trying to go through. I'm trying to make sure I'm going through. I hate missing. Somebody else said,
Tony,
we're witnessing the downfall of Christianity. I've even said, listen, God can be stripping some stuff. God can be stripping some stuff from the church. But of course, we're going to have people to say, well, when we start dealing with church, the gates of hell shall not prevail. And that's Bible. That's Bible. The church has always dealt with problems. The conscious community is definitely not a downfall of the church, but the church been some stuff that's been going on inside, and just seeing things on TV and just seeing things out there. So much stuff that's going on, and people being exposed to information and stuff like that. The brother was bringing out something that, just religion in general in America is on the decline. I believe he was reading from one article. It's not on decline, but people have alternative. They're going back to African spirituality. People are going to different things. They're not just saying, I don't believe. This brings me to the point that the sister was saying. The sister was saying that, and I mentioned some of it before. She said that she actually believes. She believes in the Most High God, and she studied all religions. I always used to be scared of somebody till the bishop told me not to. I used to always be scared of somebody to say, well, I was a Muslim, and then first I was Baptist, and I was Pentecostal, then I was Muslim, now I was a Nawubian, and now I just believe that God is. You heard that, Hunter? Now I just believe that God is. What do we do with something like that? Harris, what do we do with something like that? She was everything. She was Baptist, she was Pentecostal, she was Muslim, the Nubian, and all of that. Now she just believed that God is. And she got that from studying everything.
Well, There's really nothing we can do other than she's searching for knowledge. She's searching for truth. He or she. Um, we actually have to give her a props on that search because of the fact that she is searching. Unlike a lot of us will just believe what somebody else believes instead of doing our due diligence on our faith. So I think that's a good thing that she did have the attempt to search for truth. Maybe she should have continued to do that, but I don't see a problem with it. We don't do anything with it other than help her if we're able to help her.
But one of the problems, Jeremy, with what I said about the lady is because we're seeing more and more of this. People that saying, like the other brother said, he's like, man, listen, and when I go to the family cookouts and stuff like that, I got uncles over there and they Muslim, and then my grandmother and them got a church and the whole family back and forth. And he said, so I studied all of this stuff, and he came to the conclusion that he said, listen, it's just God. He just believed that there's a God and you got to do your fellow man right. And that's the most important thing. All these other creeds, like I told y'all, the occultists said, and the mystics said, they don't even argue creeds. They want a God outside of creeds and dogma. Can you serve God without outside of creeds? Just love your fellow man, love the creator, acknowledge there's a creator and love him. That's a fair question, Lot. That's a fair question right there. Somebody help me out like that, because we're seeing more and more people emerge like that. Oh, who knows what right, whose religion is right? There's just a God. I believe there's a God. I feel it on the inside of me. And I know I got to do my fellow man right.
I think if we say creeds, we need to look at it from a biblical perspective. Let the creeds that we follow be aligned with the Bible. Now, if you're talking about man's creeds, yes, you can serve God without using man's creeds. But there is a creed and a code within the Bible that was given to us, the inspired word of God, for us to use and live. That's the only creed we're supposed to be living by.
Somebody, Jeremy, okay, that's the only creed you're supposed to, okay. Jeremy says, so are we supposed to be pretending God has not visited and spoken? People feel there's too many religious books, and everybody feel God speak to those books. So the best thing to do is do the basics. They feel on the inside there is a God. They feel on the inside you got to love your fellow man. Basically, works will get you in if you're a good person. Because most of these same people, they do believe in the afterlife, and works will get you in if you just do good to fellow man and treat everybody right, treat everybody fairly the way you want to be treated, that you'll make it in, you'll make it in another life. You'll have a chance in the world to come or whatever.
No, you still have to come through Jesus Christ. That's the most important part.
All right, that's that dogma. There it is, Jeremy. There it is right there. There it is. Okay, go ahead. Who else?
Yep.
Go ahead, Sister. I'll come behind you.
That's all I was saying. That's the number one. That's the main creed, salvation through Christ. But I think other things in the Bible, like I said, have been done away with because of misinterpretations of men, and even just based off denominations. Because we have all these denominations, and a lot of them are taking certain fragments of the Bible and making it their creed, instead of taking the whole Bible. But the main thing is come through Jesus Christ.
Grace and peace, Jackson. Long time. What's good? Come on, I want to talk on that because I got a quick thing.
Okay, so when it comes to what was the original question?
About so many people are serving God and they don't want no creeds. They just want to know it's a God. There is a God, and you got to love your fellow man, do unto others. Basically, you have them do unto you, and that's good enough. Because there's too many books out here, and all the books claim they're speaking for God. So if you go with that basic thing, you'll be safe.
Okay, now
and there's more and more people doing that.
It's true that there are a lot of books out. The perception of the books is what, or what the purpose of the books is what's important. The general purpose of most of those books that is out there is to give you more knowledge or more insight in regards to who Jesus is, who God is, and based on sovereignty, based on God's sovereignty. over man or all creation. But I think that when it comes to your knowledge in regards to the creeds, man's creeds is not necessary. It was an understanding that was brought together for individuals to understand what their standpoint is and what direction they could take because of all the manipulation that was going on in the faith walk. That was the whole purpose of man-made creeds, the Apostle Creed, the Nicene Creed, different things of that nature. But just following the Bible itself is enough. If you are able to follow the Bible, that is enough. If you believe in your heart through faith, if you're following Jesus Christ, if you are doing what the Bible says in that aspect, then what's wrong with what you're doing? I don't think there's nothing wrong with what you're doing.
So all right, where Collins at? So you saying now let me I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you trying to make it sound like you could be saved without knowing the Apostles' Creed.
Hold on,
knowing Jesus Christ is where salvation lies. Knowing Jesus Christ.
So you don't have to know the Nicene. You don't have to know the Nicene Creed.
I don't know the Nicene Creed by heart, but I know John 3:16. I know Romans 10:9 and 10. I know those by heart. So no, I don't know a creed by heart. No, I focus on what's biblically sound.
Okay, and all right. Anybody else on that? Come on, Rose on that.
All right. So just a second ago, just to ourselves, I put in there John 23:24. And I'll go ahead and read the scripture. And Jesus said from his own mouth to the Samaritan woman, but the hour cometh, and now is, when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and truth. For the Father seeketh such to worship him. God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth.
Brandon, you heard what he just read, right? And you heard what Rose just read, right, Brandon? And you heard what Elder Harris said. How do you work with that? How do you work with that? Now, because I know somebody like you, somebody that's thinking will be like, well, listen, before the Nicene Creed, before the Apostles' Creed, it was already the church. It was Messiah said what Rose just read came before Nicaea and before the Apostles' Creed. But what do we do with that? I just need the Bible. Is that part of that stripping that you were talking about, Brandon? Getting back to the very, very basics and putting it in my own words? Let me see if he's there. I know he's at all right, Sister E, maybe you could come to the microphone.
Yeah, I'm here. I mean, yeah, I think that we are so tied to the Nicene creeds and the other creeds after that we put salvation in the creeds. The creeds does not save me. Salvation comes through Jesus Christ. I'm like Jeff. I never really read the Nicene Creed until about 4 years ago. Did I question my salvation? No, because what did Christ say? Through him only, you're saved. Not through Nicene Creed, not through the Apostles' Creed. No, it's only through Jesus Christ. Because what we're doing is we're making man's interpretation of Christ be our interpretation. You don't leave room for the Holy Spirit.
Terrell, the only thing that would scare an older person, a lot of people be like, I'm wondering, Jason Brown, listen to what I'm saying to Terrell, and I want you to speak on this. I'm wondering, are these young folk trying to dismantle? Are they systematically attempting to dismantle Christianity? Oh, I know somebody in the comments said Christianity need to be dismantled. Come on, Jason.
I don't know. In a sense, it ain't going away. Because remember, Christianity is.
Jason, were people getting saved before the Nicene Creed?
Way before the Nicene Creed. People was getting saved before the Bible.
Oh, boy, now you go. Every time I ask them questions, they go places I ain't got no business going.
But that's true. That's true. It was people getting saved and delivered before the Bible. Remember, the Bible is just an extra tool. so that you can see what happened in the past and put that up to what's going on right now in the present and see if it has significance that you can use in your daily life. But all you need is Jesus Christ. Like I was gonna say, my mama told me a story about her mother's mother who died at 110. Now this is before they had everything that we had. She said how they knew that God was real is they would seek him personally and ask for a certain little sign. Her sign was the cotton field that she lived on. She wanted a couple of these pieces of cottons to be wet in the morning and a couple to be dry. Well, the next morning she woke up, it was exactly how she asked the Lord to do it. And she said, if you did this, I would trust in you forever until the day I die. He did it, they trusted.
And that's how he spoke to them. Listen to this. I want this for Sister E, and I want these are two very important comments that y'all gonna hear in here. Sister E, one is for you and one is for Harris. Meaning y'all started this whole thing right here. Are y'all ready? Reverend said, you have to know the purpose of the creeds. What's the purpose of the creeds? That's the question for you, Sister E. And the question for Elder is from Jeremy. Do the creeds disagree with Scripture? Sister E, you go first.
The creed was to talk through or explain the divinity of Christ.
Wait, go ahead. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, the divinity of Christ, who he was. Was he 100% man, 100% divine? But when you start digging deeper into the creeds, it goes into talking about. I don't even think the first creed did the first creed even have the Holy Spirit in it? Because I think one of the creeds didn't have the Holy Spirit in it.
The council had to deal with the nature of Christ being the same as yes, and that's where we get the first. Yes.
So I mean, yes, it explains the divinity of Christ. Yes, we're good with that part. But again, go back to the Bible. That's my point.
That takes me. All right, then. Well, that takes me to the second question from Jeremy Harris. Does the creeds disagree with what's in the written text, or because there weren't multiple written texts out there, the creed was like we got catechism to teach the people. If you memorize this is the belief from the book. Come on, Harris.
Yeah, here's the deal on the creeds. During the time in which the creeds were written, within the council, they were trying to establish certain boundaries in which the variety of churches believed in. That was the purpose of the council, somewhat. And they were able to establish that creed as far as a basic belief that they can all agree on, because there was so many beliefs that was around Jesus Christ or around biblical texts. And that was their way of coming to a certain understanding. It's almost like a truce, a gang truce. You don't do any gang writing on the walls of our neighborhood. We don't do the same thing on yours. We got problems. We go to the big homies before we start creating some issues. It was a something in the likeness of that. So with that being said, it lines up biblically. And it's based on biblical principles.
And why was that done? Rev C put in there to fight heresy. Creeds would every time a creed came up, it was to squash and heresy, something that started spreading that was unbiblical. Somebody else, I just wrote it down. Somebody else said modern Christianity is different from what they practiced in the Bible. Rev C, you heard that? I'm gonna give that to you. I'm gonna give that to Jason. Y'all want me to say it for the back of the church? And I get this a lot. I hear statements like this a lot being out here. Modern Christianity is different from what's practiced in the Bible. Yay or nay, Jason?
Yay.
Reverend C, help us out. Go ahead. Whilst he's talking, I'm reading. Go ahead.
And it's a different time period. Everything has been modernized, so it's a little different challenges than what we had in the Bible days, but it is different. That's why we're now going back to the original church to find out exactly what they were doing, and we're finding out that they were just preaching the great commandments or the commission to love your neighbor and love your God. That was the first the first thing the church was preaching. And to talk about those creeds, I believe I did some research on that. The first mention of them, they believe, was in a letter in 390, because they didn't know if the apostles actually had anything to do with the creed. But the creed actually started as a baptism creed that they would use when you got baptized, and then later on, they merged the baptism creed with the Apostles' Creed, and then they will also use the Nicene Creed on top of that. But I do think it is different than the way the church did run, but it still has no difference. The significance is still the same, by faith through grace and salvation through Jesus Christ. That hasn't changed, but the way we operate has.
Let me ask you a question, Thomas White. You can speak, because I want to give you Tony Mason's question. This is another one. I'm going to read the most popular ones coming up. White, are you there, or are you on the
I'm here.
You there?
Yep.
This is Tony Mason. White. Can all Christian denominations out there have the truth? Y'all got Anglican, Baptist, Pentecostal, can all these Christian, watch the keywords, can all the Christian denominations have the truth? With a big question, but plenty question marks.
So I think we have to to be very careful when we say, do they all have the truth? Because I think that we sort of get into the question, is everybody, disagreeing? And so I would answer that question, are people disagreeing? Yes. Does everybody have the truth? Or is everybody lying? Like this? So we have these things called essential doctrines.
Amen. Thank you.
Essential doctrines that, these are the things that were handed down by the apostles to the first century church, that were handed down to us, that were written down in the scriptures. And so the essentials, they're the ones that you need to stick to. So, Jesus, having lived, died, resurrected, and ascended to heaven, and coming back again, that's an essential. Well, that was like 4 essentials, but that's essential belief. And then other doctrines like that, they're going to be, as believers, doctrines that every believer should hold on to. There being one God, that's an essential belief. But when we start to get into eschatology and things like that, they're going to be non-essentials that people don't agree on. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not unified. That doesn't mean that they're not one. That just means that they disagree. Because what you'll find is that I can disagree with my brother and still be unified with him. That doesn't mean that I have to toss him to the side because I believe something different. But when it comes to the essential doctrines, we believe that there are groups who don't believe the essential doctrines, and we don't believe that they're Christians, such as Mormons, such as Jehovah's Witness. And we don't believe that because they don't believe the essentials. And notice, when I say essentials, there are going to be some people that may even use words that you disagree with, but you guys may agree on the topic altogether. But some people just disagree on words, which is just talk to somebody and see what they mean, and you may find out that you agree with them 100% or at least 50-50. But a lot of times we talk about, is everybody in disagreement, and is it bringing some type of conflict and harm to the body, which oftentimes it is not bringing disunity. We can still be unified and disagree on certain things.
Listen to this now, being that you're on the roll with that, I might as well give you this business right here that Kev got for you. Are oneness Pentecostals Christians even though they deny the Trinity? You just, being that your microphone's unmuted and you on the roll with it right now, Kev just asked that.
So I think, again, disagreeing on certain things. I think
is that an essential? Is that an essential? The nature of Christ.
The nature of Christ is an essential. So Jesus is God. He said he was God. when he spoke with Jewish teachers, when he said certain things, they understood what he was saying. So to deny those things would mean that you are denying some essential doctrines.
Do oneness Pentecostals deny that Jesus is God?
That's a good question. It depends on which oneness Pentecostals you're talking to. And so again, like, you have to have conversations with people before you discredit them totally. You have to talk with people, and you have to get to know what they believe. So ask your friend Kev 412 Kev, ask them what they believe. Don't just say, hey, because you're oneness, that this is what you believe, and try to build with them, and don't attempt to conform them to your doctrine because you think you have the supreme doctrine.
Give that to, I want Reverend C. Reverend C, you heard the same question, or oneness Pentecostals Christian? I want to get at the Reverend C also whilst I'm reading the rest of the stuff. You see, I always learned and said, I never knew oneness Pentecostals denied the Trinity. Okay, all right, any last thoughts, Sister E, on the conscious community and the debate, the need to debate them, the need for them to have they say it's not really a second chance, but will it be fruitful? Will it help bring some clarity? Yes, I believe Jake's is, at least he used to be oneness. Yes.
I mean, when you say clarity,
be careful, because I tell you, Uncle them said we heretics over here.
I don't care about them thinking I'm a heretic. It really don't matter.
No, it's coming from Uncle. It's coming from an atheist. That's what makes it so ill.
But I
hate him.
But my thing is this: I think debating. I mean, we already debated once. What is it gonna hurt to debate it again? Two people are complaining that they did not get a chance because of some miscommunication that transpired. Trying to find out what that is. But I mean, if you gave Jabari a chance, why not give those guys a chance? That's how I see it.
Or you think just debating is something that we have to get used to, Rose, that it's just part of these younger folk? And this is just what they do, and this is just a way for us to share information. It's what it is. Because we can't act like I said, like Ravi and them, they debate. James White, Ravi and them, they debate, but we just, we just have different issues. What do you think, Rose? This is something we got to get used to?
Yeah, I think debating is a good thing. Now, the thing that's not good about debating is when emotions get involved, I should say. And this is what, as a group, we were actually sitting back, and they wasn't off when they said that we were paying attention, because we wasn't letting our feelings and our emotions get involved, jumping in with their bait words and everything else. All the heretic stuff they were calling us and everything they were talking about, everybody on this panel or calling us all heretics and things like that. When you get your emotions involved in all this stuff, it smoke covers the truth. It doesn't allow truth to be spoken. But see, this is part of some of their game, though. And this is what, as an apologist, you have to expect coming to the table when you are debating anybody. When their emotions start getting riled up because they don't have enough truth to hold on to or enough truth to speak, their volume goes up, the words in which they use change, and it baits your flesh into getting into that contest of words with them. When this wasn't a contest, we're trying to bring clarity. That's what a debate is even about in the first place. It's not an argument. It changes to an argument when your flesh gets involved. And this is what they're seeking arguments through flesh conversation. But we do have to get used to this. But it's only through, through the spirit of love and truth, that you can handle and discern how to speak and open your mouth in response.
Terrell, you heard what Rose just said when he was talking about that. I want to ask Terrell something. Jason's gonna be discussing it whilst I'm waiting for Terrell to comment on this. From what Rose said when we was talking about truth, is there a difference, Jason Brown? Is there a difference between facts and truth? You hear me, Terrell? I want you to help us out with that right there. Is there a difference between facts and truth? Grace and peace, Pastor Kelly.
Absolutely.
Help us out, Pastor Kelly. Is there a difference between facts and truth? Come on, Jason, you got the floor.
Make it as easy as possible. Fact can be validated or looked up through paper trails. So when you're talking about primary sources and artifacts and things that we could put our hands on, that could substantiate fact. Now, truth is way harder to find, because truth is either going to be based on faith or belief, or truth is not going to actually have foundational paperwork to go with it. So what they're arguing is arguing facts that can be proven through paperwork, but the truth is a whole nother one. Truth is a little more mysterious than fact, and actually most of the time truth is scarier than the lie, period, and people don't want to address that.
Okay, and the other brother to the Oneness Pentecostals, I see that Reverend C said that. The last question before we get out of here is who has, because this has been thrown around a lot. Oh, y'all scared Berean, and I'm back and forth. Like, what are these dudes working with? Who has more to lose? You hear what I just said, 888? Who has more to lose? Terrell said there's definitely a difference between truth and facts. Who has more to lose with a debate in the conscious community? The first one we already, already went in and we won. But so many people are acting like, oh, the church have everything to lose because we're gonna shut the church down with these facts that we coming with. Other people be like, listen, none of them just gonna be exposed for the pseudo nonsense that they is, and the church gonna be jumping anyway. They just online doing what they doing, and then like, look at our numbers. Basically, I say, who got more to lose in your opinion, Harris? Because there are opinions on this now. If you look at it in that sense and not as just putting information out there, who got more to lose?
I look at that comment that was made earlier with Garfield and Polite. They brought this particular comment up that they got so much to lose. But if they knew that, why weren't they there at least giving some type of moral support for their comrade that represented them? They had enough time to make plans to be at that particular debate. It just, if nothing else, is to sit there and give him some moral support. Now, you guys been saying all day that that's my brother. I got love for him and respect for him and blah, 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 blah. But on the other hand, you were not there for him. That speaks volumes when you're not there for your brother. It speaks volumes. And then for something that is as critical as you claim for it to be, with so much on the line, you could have been there for him. So who has the most on the line? We're soul savers. We're gonna do this until our Creator calls us home. If we miss you on one, if we only get a chance to plant a seed, then somebody's gonna add water at some point, and God eventually will add the increase. We're not concerned about that because we know what our power source is. Our power source is with the Almighty God Himself. So now we don't have a lot to lose. True enough, the numbers are falling in the church. That's because we need some house cleaning. That's some personnel issues we have to deal with on that level. But as far as the faith, no, we ain't got nothing. We won't lose our faith, brother. No,
see,
they
now
have a lot
that's
to lose.
truth. Jeremy said, see, now that's truth. He said, all right, so he said that, so your thing is debates are good, but we're not gonna lose.
Can I respond to that on the faith thing? On debate. When it comes to debates, it's real simple to me. If the Christians are looking at the debates as to plant seeds and water, to bring knowledge and wisdom to the kingdom of God and what its purpose is and all these things, yeah, I learned a lot from that aspect. When Dr. Bantu started giving his presentation and his rebuttal, it was outrageously strong and very effective in my life. I started researching in school because I wanted to see how I could get in on some of that information. So yeah, in that sense, it enhances our need to learn more on my point of view, and it gives us a great level of respect to see someone like him represent us so well. So in that sense, yes, but to prove something to someone as far as we are better than you, it's not about that. We're soul savers. That's the bottom line. We want to reach out and reach those according to the Great Commission in chapter 28 of Matthew. That's what our purpose is.
All right, that was great. I'm gonna try to see if we can put that in there for you, Sister Spalding. Thank you. Listen to this. When you start dealing, that's a good thing. Do you think in any way, do you think, Jeremy, and be truthful? I know sometimes you ministers, y'all want to, you got to bang out for the kingdom. Do you think in any way that the conscious community, because I'm finding that more and more, they're not apologists, more and more Christians are sneaking and listening to certain things. Do you think a part of the problem could be because they're not speaking to them culturally? People on Sunday mornings not preaching, speaking to their people culturally? Or is that carnal, Jeremy? That could be carnal right there, but it's a need that they don't feel that's being fulfilled, so they have to go and look for certain information on out of Africa or something of that nature. Because I'm talking to 90% of these pastors out here, they don't want to really speak to the culture. Let's worry about your kingdom. Don't worry about heritage. I was talking, I was interested in the other pastor brought up something. Ooh, it got them apologists mad. I just let it fly over and let it keep on going. You think that could be it, Jeremy? Do you think that can be it? Not only Jeremy on the panel. Come on, Brown, help me out with that too. Let me see if Sister E is on. Help me out with that also. What do you think about that? Do you think the conscious community could be feeding the body of Christ something, a need that's inside of certain people that's in the culture?
Certain stuff, especially
minorities in this country.
Yeah, when we're dealing with culture, yes, definitely yes, because that's where I was at. I ended up on Sinetta TV listening to all those old debates with Hashar and Polite and Booker T and just all the old. But it was something in me that was looking for something more outside of the spirituality of Christianity. I wanted to be more connected with my people. So the church needs to actually expound on some of this. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Especially you dealing with your culture at this time, in the times that we're in. That's what the pastor's supposed to be speaking on. He's supposed to keep you informed of what the enemy is doing. He's supposed to be educating you on the system outside of your spirituality. That's what you have other ministers, elders, and deacons for. This is to help the pastor. The pastor is to be over your spirit and your soul salvation, and you have other members of the church are there to help with the ministry progress, especially when it comes to different avenues. Because you got deacons that are lawyers, you got deacons that are dealing in finance, bankers, mathematicians, PhD. These are all fingers that can help create a hand, period. And we all supposed to be working together, bouncing information off of each other. So another thing those debates are supposed to be, that's bouncing information off of each other, because you might say something that I wasn't privy to at first, but in the debate you might bring it up, and that might add clarity to whatever I was studying. So it should be like a give and take. It shouldn't just be one-sided. It should be we're pulling something from the conscious community. The conscious community is pulling something from us. So
hold on a second. I'm sorry. Hold on a second, because they moving too fast. Pastor Kelly said the cultural aspect is truly missing from Christianity. But somebody else said that that's all right. That's Jeremy, seeking teachers having itchy ears. A lot of people feel when you start preaching culture, you hear me, Lot said identity crisis. Is there any way? Listen to me. I want Harrison. I want Harrison Rose to listen to this right here. Is there any way that the kingdom, the message of the kingdom that Messiah preached, is that going to help our cultural identity today? Harris, help me right now. There's questions in here, and when you start getting on culture in the Bible, because people try to act like it's not the Bible's job to help black folk that done been raped, robbed, and abused in this country. Harris, come on.
Well, yes, it is relevant
Be
today.
careful. There's a touchy subject. Be careful, brother.
Okay, I'm gonna be careful. I'll speak from my personal experience. Yes, it has helped me, because I wasn't no different than some of the guys that you see that don't know Christ up until where I am today. I am a pretty successful individual. I'm not even speaking on finances. I am spiritually rich. and I love every aspect of it. I have developed in ways and have healed in ways that no man could have done it, but through the Holy Spirit is how I'm who I am today. And I'm a follower of Jesus Christ, and I love every bit of it. I'm a living witness. I can attest to what he does.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm going. Come on, Rolls.
All right. So first and foremost, I'll be one of the first people to try to preach and tell folks that when it comes down to it, our ministry or the ministry has been laid before us. All right. We got to get into this word. All right. We got to get deep into here. And I tell people to get into that red letter. And our ministry or the ministry that's been laid before us should mimic after Jesus Christ. Not only that, but our spiritual armor should mimic after his. It should be fashioned after his. And so if we get to understanding what Jesus's ministry was about, we get past the color lines. All right. We get to erase all that. Now it's about brotherhood, sisterhood, fellowship through Christ. So it is good. All right. We this is where we have to really get back into the word and understanding how good it is for Christ's ministry to be a part of our lives and how we can mimic that and erase the color lines and break down divisions. So that way we can build the kingdom. This is how the kingdom is built, through looking past the little small stuff, the little small divisions that we emphasize so much on just when we walk down the street. Because I can guarantee everybody out here watching this chat right now, when you walk into the store, when you walk down the street, period, when you bump into somebody, you look at them, I can guarantee one of the first things we all still suffer from is looking at the differences. Already looking at what's different between you and them, getting caught up in your flesh there. But if you get in this word, you can get past all that rather quickly.
All right, hold on a second. Sister Spalding, BereanTeach@gmail.com. I'm gonna put somebody put my email in the what you call it down here. I want to say something though. You heard what he just said, Tony Mason. Terrell, did you hear what Rolls just said? And that's the way the average believer, the average elder, the average pastor is going to talk to you. Just like that. Are you help me out? I want to say something, but I don't want to finish about. Are you, when you're really spiritual, is it going to go right past your identity crisis? The people that are believers, that's in the Bible, that's in the church, and they have an identity crisis, and they say because they're black in America and blase, it's a problem because other people feel if you're really tapped into God, that's gonna overshadow any identity crisis, any oppression you could be any racism you could be going through. Is that your impression, Tony Mason? Is that your impression, Collins, about the spirituality? Some people would say the spirituality make you blind to the facts. Well, how can y'all help me out with that right there? Let me put go ahead. Whilst I'm doing that, I'm gonna put my own Gmail in there for Sister Spalding. Thank you. We appreciate that. You heard me. You heard me, Brandon. Are you back on the in the truck? Because that identity crisis is a big thing, but people would feel as a believer it's impossible to have identity crisis. It's impossible. You hear that, Sister E? It's impossible to have our identity crisis. You may see it different because you went did DNA, so you took it somewhere else. But for the average person that's not into that,
it's funny you say that though, Berean.
And I could even see why people would want to. I could see why people would even want to get a DNA right now because they want to be locked in with that. But plenty Christians are running, plenty believers are running around here and saying, listen, especially they'll even email me, Berean, listen, you over there talking about race and black people and white people when you really plugged into Christ. Lady told me I got to get full with the Holy Ghost. You won't be talking about race and color and what the cops are doing. When you're really full of the Holy Ghost, you'll be just getting into the depths of the word and God will be revealing things to your spirit. How do y'all feel about that? Come on, Sister E.
You said a lot, but when we talk about, let me turn this air off, I'm in the car. But when we talk about identity crisis, that's one conversation. But then let's also look at how the word itself, going back to the original statement everybody has been saying, we got to clean up the whitewashing of the faith.
Everybody.
We got to, and I mean, either I'm just gonna be honest. That whitewashing has done a work on all of our people. Where
That
people
has to do with that you connecting the whitewashing to identity crisis?
correct, because you can't. Most people, when you say, most people don't understand that the most exposure they got to the Bible was saying that they handed that Bible to us on when we came off the slave ship. We know that's not.
I'm sorry. Stop for 1 second. You heard
We
what
know.
she said. You heard what she said, Jeremy. I want you to speak on that, and I want Terrell Collins to speak on that. Do you think whitewashing is connected to identity crisis for people of African descent in America? Go ahead. Keep going, Sister E.
I mean, and let's bring truth to light. I mean, people are just, I mean, everybody's questioning everything. Everybody's trying to find relevance somewhere. Everybody's like, oh, as long as you're in the spirit and you've received Christ, that's your identity. But I'm still human. I'm still human. When they put that white picture of Jesus up, I mean, some people are just like, for real? So what are we? You know, the original conversation about us is we were savages, and they brought us over here in boats and gave us Bibles and taught us the Bible when we were teaching the Bible way before them. So we got to clear their lie up first and be real with it. They lied, and we got to bring truth to that. Once we bring truth to that, then we can start working with our people. But I'm just gonna be honest. We sit here playing. We all playing this game of whitewashing. Right? What are we doing to fix this? This is why our people can't connect. And I don't want to hear nobody say, oh, it's a spiritual thing. Yes, it is a spiritual thing. But it's also, we're still human. So that's my whole point. It's time to clean up and tell the truth.
Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else on that? I'm trying to read some of these comments right here, because that heretic right there.
Well, see, there's a lot of biracial folks out there, you know, that would try to argue that, well, which side do I gravitate to? I'm biracial, but you know what? I identify as black because they don't treat me white. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to rub nobody the wrong way when I say it like that, but I'm just telling the truth. I'll be 40 years old next month, and I have yet, no matter how well I speak, no matter how well I communicate, I have yet to be treated white. I have yet to be treated equal as them. So I know what I am, and I know where I identify. So we can push that to the side. So as far as the identity crisis thing comes up, she's absolutely right. We got to get rid of the whitewashing, and then we got to. The better question is, I guess, that was posed to me is, how do we address so-called biracial folks that for some reason whatsoever they lean more towards their Japhetic masters? All right.
That's because that's a dominant culture. I'd agree with that.
Right.
Collins, what did he say? Collins said you can't be woke, believer, and say race is not an issue. But people feel, did Messiah talk about race or nation over above another nation? That's why people are upset with the whole woke movement, because they're addressing whitewashing and they're addressing stuff that some people feel isn't even the book. Deal with the spirituality. Spirituality supersedes you people running around here with identity issues. And others are trying to make connections, say no, identity issues part of the problem. That's how come some people can't even read and connect properly with the book and the spirituality that's in the book. I wish Terrell had something to say on that. You can't really connect properly. I don't know. I might have to leave that one alone right there. Come on, where Brown at? I might have to leave that one alone right there. Come on, Brandon. Oh, you back? He put his hand down. Oh, his hand was up from before. Come on, Brandon. Brandon ain't ready. I'm trying to read these.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can now.
Well,
wait a minute. You were here for Sister Ian and Rose when you were here for the last two?
I kind of, it was breaking up. Was going in and out. I heard bits and pieces of it, but not the whole thing. But what I was hearing on the end of it, what he was saying is, I think we have to understand that we could look at the Caucasian community, European community, and they are writing books and talking about the decline of Western culture. This is not just melanated people talking about this. And what I would say is, we have to make a decision across the board as melanated people, non-melanated people, are we gonna side with the truth? And if you're not, then most times, you're gonna burn with the house, because cultures are destroyed. Empires are from one generation to other. There's not been one dominant culture that has put themselves above something and above people that hasn't had to deal with the ramifications of being brought down to its knees. So if you're gonna uplift something, it's gonna eventually be teared down. So either we gonna talk about the right things, and there are European brothers and European, you got guys like Michael Heiser, you got guys who are bringing out the Reformation and all of these things, and how they're not the scriptures are not to be interpreted in it. This is not just melanated people doing this. There are Europeans doing it as well, because people are tired of the issue. Most people want to go home, want to go to work, take care of their families, live a peaceable life, and that's across the board. You got wicked people in all color
Nationality.
groups and nationalities, but we have a dominant one that's dominating right now. And as the decline of the European culture and the European dominance, because China got next, so everybody better get used to it.
So
China
wait a
coming
minute, let me
next.
ask you a question. You think the decline of European culture could be the decline of Christianity because they came up together, so they got to come down together? You think that could be true there?
No, that's not what we saying. What we saying is the influence, the dominant influence of the culture. You have to look up who came up with Christmas. You got to look up who came up with these things. Mexicans got Cinco de Mayo. You got to look at these things. These are things are cultural. Just like a Hebrew community would have their beliefs and their customs and their festivals. So you got to look at all these things and just look at them for what it is and say, this is what it is, this is what it isn't. So when we deal with the Reformation, I don't have no problem with the Reformation, because God raised them people up to deal with the Catholic Church, to deal with that for that specific season and that specific time. It was not to be brought down and disseminated from generation to generation to generation to generation, because they were dealing with the Roman Catholic Church and what needed to be done, and God used that and he raised that up. Now we dealing with a whole nother other set of problems and a whole other set of issues that have nothing to do with Reformation and the we dealing with spiritual wickedness in high places. We dealing with spirits that are coming out of nowhere. The level of attack that an 8-year-old is dealing with a
Another
cell
level.
phone in their hand. We
Another level.
weren't introduced to this, the level of perversion that so I was almost an adult before I started learning weirdness and what this weird 5 was and what is this. They know this stuff at 7 and 8. So we can't keep coming with this. We can't keep coming with this foolishness, man. And this generation is dealing with super demons. They dealing with super hyper demons. This ain't even the same thing.
Yeah, I can't lie. It's definitely crazy. It's definitely crazy. Somebody else said right here, if your culture is held above Christ, then you do away with it. If not, don't. Anybody else?
My
Rome
thing
said,
is this.
Rome said, all right, go ahead. I'm sorry. Grace and peace, Rome. Go ahead.
So everybody's afraid to talk about culture and Bible when we don't realize that right now we're still dealing with culture. Every holiday that we practice for the faith deals with a culture and not biblical holidays. So what's the problem is, what we're saying is take the leaven out. If you take out the European type holidays, guess what? We still gonna have the faith, but don't deny that the things we're doing now in the Bible are not connected to culture, because it is. Christmas is not a biblical holiday. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's not a biblical holiday. It's based on a culture.
So wait a minute. Let me ask you a question. We should get rid of Christmas for the culture? Do it for the culture? If we get rid of Christmas and we get rid of holiday, what we gonna do? Celebrate the Passover? What we gonna do?
Pagans have their holiday.
Wait a minute. I'm gonna mute him. When y'all get to unmuting yourself, y'all heard what I just said?
Can I finish my point?
All right, I'm sorry, Sister E. Go ahead. I'm cutting.
Let me finish my point. And the thing is, I'm not knocking the next person that's practicing Christmas. I can't. I'm not gonna judge you, because even the Word of God says, "Don't let nobody judge you about your festivals." But yet and still, culture is still embedded in the faith. That's what I'm saying.
we have a more Europeanized culture embedded in the faith now. The problem is the Europeans don't want to snatch the culture away and say we all had our own cultures. So I'm gonna ask this question. So were they practicing? What was they practice? What were the African Christians practicing? Did they practice Christmas or did they have their own form of holiday? We gotta be real. They have intertwined culture and Bible so much that if someone says they don't practice Christmas, they tell them that they are not a believer. No, it's just a culture thing. So culture is in the Bible, culture is in the faith. And if somebody says that, they ain't telling the truth. And that's all I gotta say. I'm sick of folks saying culture and Bible. We practice culture now.
Harris, come and help me out. This your girl right here. Come and help me out. We some people say that's right where the confusion coming with you black folk. Y'all don't pick up this book from the white folk. Harris, I shouldn't have said that. But y'all went and picked up this book and y'all arguing about European culture, or y'all arguing about Hebrew culture, Israelite culture. I don't consider myself an Israelite, so someone could say that to me, but someone says to either is Israelite's a different thing, and none of it is ours. Help us out, Harris. Help me out, Harris, with that.
Oh, Harris left.
All right. No, not Harris. I mean, yeah. Not what's the name?
I got one for
white. Help me out with that. White. What can you do with that? Or brown? What can you do with that?
Right. When you say it's not ours, so I think that we sometimes get confused with Christianity, or even the Bible belonging to a certain culture, which was never the intention. The intention was never for it to belong to a certain culture, although it was given to the Hebrew Israelites. It was given to Israel, but they were to spread that word to all the other nations. And so when we think about it in that aspect, we understand that it wasn't just for one group of people, but this group of people that was to be responsible for spreading it. They in many ways sort of didn't follow through with the covenant in which they agreed to. But still, God was faithful in doing what he did and fulfilling all the promises that he said he was going to, and eventually bringing a Messiah onto the scene. And so again, the Bible fits into any culture, but then we have to ask ourselves, does culture then what do we do then with our culture? We have to examine our culture. We have to see, what in our culture doesn't then disagrees with what God calls us to, which is ultimately righteousness. And so a lot of people, equate, the Bible to sort of conforming to like a set of code, standards, and rules, but it's just righteousness, right? God has called us to conform to standard of righteousness and to lay down our idols, or in other words, anything that we would worship over Yahweh.
Brandon, listen to this. I agree with that. Any true spiritual system, if you're looking at anything, if you're looking at Kemetic spirituality, any true spiritual system goes across cultures. It's supposed to be, if it's working properly. This is why you'll see the Roman, that's why you see when the Persians a little bit, but more so when Alexander and the Greeks came on the scene. When the Greeks came on the scene, that there were some things that they saw and they took up and they picked up and they believed they could move with it. During the time of Christ, the cult of ISIS was jumping. Many people believe, we're just going to leave it at that. Many people believe was still in existence. And if you have a spirituality that is a true spirituality, it's going to work across cultures. Now, there's people that's arguing like the Dr. Bantu and stuff that it's not supposed to be that. But what's the her hand is back up. I can't even get two good words in. Her hand is back up. But the problem is a lot of people will say now that's the thing. It is so intertwined, and we're so intertwined with the culture here. White supremacy is so intertwined with the culture here. The Christmas tree is so intertwined with the culture here that we basically we basically don't have no culture. And like that other pastor said, the sister brought, I don't know why did he do that? We in Bible study and he brought up Kwanzaa. Lord, I got some of them other folk in here. I shouldn't even say that. Pastor said, we don't want that junk. I'm like, what the devil this fool just said? Sometimes we say foolish stuff in the pulpit. Come on, Sister E, I'm gonna give you the microphone.
Okay, I'm sorry, I thought you couldn't hear me. But I'm gonna clarify something because a couple people are saying, so African culture over Christianity or the faith. And when I say Christianity, I mean the faith, the real faith, the beginning of the faith. I am not saying African culture over the faith. What I'm saying is what we're practicing now is intertwined with the faith. The culture of Christmas, the culture of these holidays is embedded because ask yourself this question: was Christ born December 25th? No.
Wait a minute, you shut your mouth right now and stop that nonsense.
No, I'm telling the truth.
You ain't gonna start disrespecting the church right now. Hold on a minute.
Disrespect the church.
Hold on a minute right now. Let's figure this thing out now. If y'all been rocking out the 25th for the last 400 years in this country now, don't come here getting brand new. Don't come here getting brand new. You try. Let me ask you a question right now. You try. No, I gotta mute her. That's my peeps. I gotta mute her. Listen, you trying to say that there's something wrong with Christianity as it's practiced here in America?
Yes.
Oh, Father God, I can't even do this. That mean that devil. Unc ain't lying. That Unc, you are heretic. Go ahead, keep talking now. Let me go text what's her name of them. Go ahead. Come on, heretic. You keep on going now. But I'm hating that I'm hearing that from more and more people. No, Brown, I ain't playing with her. I'm hating that I'm hearing that from more and more people. People like, yo, the other dude hit me in the email. I don't know who he think he was talking to. He was like, yo, Brown. He was like, yo, you are too smart. You are too smart to tell me ain't nothing wrong with that religion right there. What you say? Brown, help me out right now. She said something wrong with the religion. Help me out, Brown.
Are we concerned about the religion or the faith? Religion is doing things the same way all the time. But
what is faith doing? What is faith doing?
Faith is understanding who Jesus Christ and receiving of the Holy Spirit and walking in that understanding. I don't need to physically see his body to know that he died for me. That's faith. But the religion is the rules that we've put in that men have created. It's time for people to start. Let's pull the leaven out of the faith and figure out what is the true direction when we talk about our faith. Are we scrutinizing people because we're asking these questions? Because the thing is, if I ask somebody in a church, and I know the apologetic community don't agree with me, which I'm fine with, but let's be real. If I don't practice Christmas and I chose to do the feast days, why am I being scrutinized? Because I'm returning to the holidays that's in the Bible.
Brandon.
I'm good. But I'm done. Go ahead, mute me, because you're gonna get
Brandon or Jason, help me out. She done started that Israelite talk right now. And you know a lot of people don't like that right there. Help me out with this right here. Let me try to read some of these comments. Let me try to read some of these comments right here.
She's sneaking that in there, brother.
The thing is already in there. People leave the church because their brains work. They want the Most High, not the brand of it. What do you mean by that? Let me see. What do you mean by that right there? There's no beef that people are questioning certain things. That's like I was saying earlier. No matter, that's how I was asking earlier. Is it important to Is it important for people? Is debates important so people can hear certain things, so they can get information out there? Like I was talking on my little rant last night when I was getting my rec in. I was saying that a lot of them cats like Garfield and them, they bringing out stuff that the average person in the pew don't know. Is that going to damage your spirituality? Is that going to damage your Christianity? Or is it, and other people are going to the conscious community to get information, but they consider themselves believers, but they're not being fed that information in the church? Is that the purpose of the spirituality? How do oppressed people, no matter the guy said, ain't nobody wake up picking cotton, how do a people that some claim that's being oppressed in the country, how do they practice the religion that they believe separate from the culture? Or you can't separate the two, and this is what Sister E's fighting against. Now, she says she's fighting against that, and I say I'm an urban apologetic, involved in urban apologetics, and I'm fighting against whitewashing. Some would argue that we wouldn't have beef. that I wouldn't be running around here and got the muter every minute because I know my church people listening and they already know it. And I'm already taking a chance rocking out with Israelites. I'm being shunned already, but and instead of her understanding that and be like, you know what, she want to come and speak a whole mind. I don't speak.
I'm gonna be quiet now.
I tell y'all, I know she ain't unmute herself again. Wait a minute. The devil stop for what she got going on here? Wait a minute. And this is part of the problem. I tell y'all, I can't even speak my whole mind because I know there's some stuff that's evolved around it. But some people say, no, this is my Spalding said, I left my church. I knew it was something wrong, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Oh God, I get that a few times a week there. Come on, Sister E, because I'm gonna start getting Hebrew mail. Come on.
I'm not, and the thing is, people got to get out their feelings. I believe what I believe in, and they need to get over it. I've always been the type of person that I did not follow the norm. I'm going to figure out what I'm doing and why I'm here. So because of that, I consider myself to be an Israelite, but yet and still we all believe in the same Savior. If I call him Yeshua HaMashiach, or if I call him Jesus Christ, we both believe in the same Savior. My beef is the whitewashing. It's time to take the leaven out of the faith.
All right, Jerome. I'm tired. Jerome in here right now. Jerome, listen, man. Listen, Jerome. You've been in them books for a minute. You've been up. You came through. You familiar with plenty cats in the conscious community, various teachings. Is this thing whitewashed, and is this Bible a problem being that it's whitewashed? That's the term we use because some people offend with that. Do me a favor, or get offended with that. Do me a favor, Sister E. Send Sister Carolette Spalding your that Cash App. Baker, we talking about the whitewashing in here. I'm trying to give Rome time to answer. We talking about the whitewashing in the Bible. Some people say the Bible ain't been working for us, but you can say what you want. We've been putting in work with the Bible. But those, like the other guy said, those were a different brand of preachers back then. They were a different brand of believers back then that was going out for the cause. And not saying that other people, Black Panthers and other people weren't going out. But for the most part, the church or believers on the Most High God were the ones leading it out. You want to say something on that before we get out of here? Or he don't even hear me? You hear me? Okay, go ahead.
I think that I think they whitewash the Bible to make it more acceptable to white people or Caucasians as it is. That they had to have it palatable for themselves. And I really truly believe the ones that keep skipping over it or act like it don't matter are going to be held accountable for that to God, because we serve a God that's a God about truth. So how can we get to the truth if we operate in a half truth or a fraction of the truth? And, it's always the same thing with our brothers and sisters in that particular faith. You bring out the truth and then they just want to skip over it or gloss over it or say we're past that or bury it. That's why it was really good for me to see that thing I talk about with the Tutsis and the Hutus. It was the same thing. It's like we don't want to uncover the truth. We're doing something different now. The country's on a different path. No, the country's not on a different path because that scab, that hurt, that disease is still up under the surface of it, and it still operates in that way. And to me, it exposes who they are, no matter who they are. Now, by the same token, Christ came in this color for a reason or to be part of a certain bloodline, but his spirit supersedes that. So by the same token, because we are Black people, we are chosen or the chosen people were chosen, but they weren't superior. They were chosen for his reason to do his will for his purpose. And I think the problem with everybody is the superiority thing. Who's more superior than the other human at that? We just keep asking God. God is superior. He chooses whoever he wants to be superior. So you can work your body, you can work your mind, you can do all of these exercises, and in the end, you're still gonna die and face God. So what difference does it make? Serve God like he said to do, and you will all get better. Because he tell us to love each other and to use these gifts and all of that stuff to work together, as I was saying to Brother Rawls the other day, to make a wonderful orchestra. Sometimes he might solo the drums, sometimes he might solo the bass player. It's like but he want this orchestra to sound like an orchestra and work together the way that I see it. And y'all can have the rest of it.
Jason, listen to this. Listen to this troublemaker right here. But just a good question. That's what. But because you know we be rocking out in church most of the time. Brown, you ready for this question right here? If not, I'm gonna give this to Harris because this is something that's.
Yeah, I'm still listening. I'm cutting,
you ready
but
for
I'm
this right here? Let
not
me
yet.
read. Let me. Yo, hold on. Wait a minute. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can.
All right, you ready for the question? I'm gonna give the question right now. This old troublemaker. Who this is right here? Mark those that cause division among you. DJ. If the Bible is whitewashed, then how is it the word of God now? Shots fired.
Oh man, shots fired.
Shots fired.
Are we talking about Bible or are we talking about scrolls?
All right. You see, I got them small folk over here want to get technical. You know where they're trying to go. Harris, you might have to speak up on this one right here, because that gets the Christian side of me mad, but that's a fair question.
It is.
Come on, help me out. You Harris, help me out.
I think they have been able to use, especially, you know, when we're talking about Catholicism, they have been able to use that Masoretic text to change things with the word. So in that aspect, I can say they have, but I can't blame it on them because they had to work with what they had. You know, so that's just my opinion.
Sister E, when we talking about whitewashing, is whitewashing tampering? Is whitewashing considered tampering?
Yes, they've added things to the word. You know,
so the Bible is tampered. The Bible ain't perfect then.
Not the Bible. I'm talking about the faith and the interpretation of the Bible. The interpretation has been tampered with, not the Bible itself, because you got to look at it. The Bible are a bunch of scrolls all put together to make one big book. So the Bible isn't the problem. It's the interpretation that the Europeans use with the Bible to make us think that we, brought us into captivity, put us in slavery.
So whitewashing just isn't the white angels, the white God, the white Adam and Eve. That's why whitewashing has to do with the words in the book to you as an Israelite.
And not the words. I keep saying not the words, the faith, the images, everything that they've used to make themselves seem superior to us when it comes to the Bible is whitewashing. My question is this again, and I always say this: as long as the picture of Jesus is white on the wall, they good. But the moment we change his color, that's when they ready to beef with us.
Terrell getting out of here right now. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm gonna stop cutting you off.
No, that's all I'm saying is the fact that they use that interpretation of the word to put us in a place to think that they are superior. And it's the truth. Why is it we are not supposed to have images of him anyway? But why did they create images that look like them?
Grace and peace, Mike Shaw, interpretation, yes.
Why did they call us the Canaanites? That's why we in captivity. You can't tell me they didn't whitewash this Bible and made it theirs and tried to use it to conquer people. That's where God gonna hold them accountable. The Bible was never meant to be used like that. And that's all I got to say.
She always say that's all she got to say. That she come back, Rome, she come back and she mute herself. The Apostle Philip went to Ethiopia. All right, anybody else? No, Jason. She always doing that. Come on, Brandon, give me some words before we close. How are we gonna have to get some information into the people in the pews, and it's gonna be some stuff that's gonna burn. It's gonna be some stuff that's gonna be problematic. I was talking to Bishop earlier, and he was like, I was, basically asking him how he felt. Matter of fact, I got to hit him. See, he can get some meetings and stuff. I asking him how he felt about, all this information coming out here, and, the people in the pews being ready for it, people sharing information with a lot of people that don't know. There's a lot of people. There's people that'll say stuff like, I hear people in the conscious community and they're making comments about the Bible. It's nothing I never heard because I've been around such a long time. And, I've ran with so many professors and all of them in the Bible, teachers in the Bible, bishops and them, degreed up and all of that good stuff. And so I heard it, but there's a lot of stuff that do shake a lot of people. Do your salvation, this is for anybody, do your salvation depends on the translation and how the text came down and your knowledge of the text? That's a good question for you, Rose. Does your,
Nope, there's a lot of scholars going to hell.
Go ahead. What you said?
I said nope, because it's a lot of scholars going to hell.
You Rose? That don't look like Rose. Who's that just talking?
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I was in there texting. What was the question? One more time, brother.
Does your salvation is your salvation based upon the transmission of the text and how the text came down?
No.
Why not?
Because I mean, once again, that goes back into the interpretation of the scriptures. All right, and how there was the whitewash of it. If you read in the scripture for yourself, all right, and then you get Holy Spirit reveal something to you, that was what was revealed to you through Holy Spirit. That ain't got nothing to do with some whitewashing of the script.
Okay. What was we, Sister E? You can hear me right now, Thomas White. I want you on this. I know Sister E gonna say something, but I want you on this one. You hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I can hear you.
What were we doing before the white man gave us the Bible? And I'm gonna put the phone.
That's it.
I know. I'm gonna talk to White first. I want to talk to White first. I just read the thing.
I wasn't born.
Okay. Now you heard the whole comment, and that's all you got to say is I wasn't born. All right, go ahead, Sister E.
I am in agreement with Thomas. I wasn't born, but the only history that we were shown of the Bible was the Roman viewpoint of the Bible. I never knew that for instance, I never knew the church fathers was black, because every single picture I've ever saw, the church fathers was white.
All church fathers were black.
I mean, a majority of them. When you talk about like Origin, all of them that were in that. African church fathers, y'all always reference. Never knew they were African. I always equated it because they always gave us a Romanized view of the Bible.
You sound like you sound like you mad at the white people. You sound like you mad at the white people.
And so you're asking what we were doing 1,500 years before.
Yeah. Basically, that's what basically that's what it is.
Before the white man gave us the Bible.
Before the Bible, we were spiritual beings. How do you begin to answer that? That's all of that stuff it'll get a Bible thumper mad, but it's fair.
Right. And so we got to do our history. We got to do on our history on how the gospel spread throughout parts of Africa. We got to do our history on how it spread in the Middle East. We got to do our history on how it spread, even into Europe. And so, it's the question of many people. They're not asking to be intellectually honest about how we got Christianity. They just want to know, basically, why do you still follow it? Because it's the white man's religion, because it's been supposedly handed to us by white folks, so it must be that must be what we practice is the white folks religion. And I would say to that, now when most people may, your experience may have been that, but my experience is a little bit different. I gave just a little bit of insight of my history. The church that I would go to every now and then, they had a big mural of white Jesus on the wall, but I didn't know who that was until I got old. Like I never even asked who it was. I went to the church maybe twice a year, but it never occurred to me to even ask, who's this white person on the wall? And so when I became a Christian some years later, when I was 18, 19. So not like I really didn't have pictures of Jesus, right? So I the whole Jesus being a white man thing, I learned that stuff from dealing with the Nation of Islam, was when that was first brought to my attention, and I would say that really until then I had no clue on how much it affected. And I'm not going to say Christians, because it doesn't really affect most Christians, but it affects a lot of people who have left the Christian community, that Jesus is white. I would say that it affects the people who have left the community that are black more than it's affected the people who are still in it. And people who attribute it to the fact that we're mentally enslaved, and we worship the white man and all these things. But the simple thing is that some people are able to make the connection that and ask the question, how is a white man born in the Levant, right, in the Nile Valley region? And so some stuff didn't make sense to me right offhand. And so again, in my eyes, the people who spout that information, they're mentally enslaved to the white man, and that's their issue.
Sister E, listen to Sister E. This your people right here. I'm gonna tell you what Pastor Kelly just said. Pastor Kelly said Judaism created the dark skin and the curse, which had a major influence on another belief systems such as Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons. Absolutely so. Talmudic Jew. All right, what's she getting ready to say? Absolutely so. The Talmudic Jews, and they fed into that, and that's one of the reasons that some people that read a little bit, they have a problem with the religion in general, because they believe it was set up from the gate. Now part of the problem is, when was the Talmud written? Before before the Bible or after the Bible? That's part of the problem. One right there. And two is, do you have a problem? Because I'm getting more and more people talking to me about Roman Christianity, Pauline Christianity, and more people what's the young dude Derek name? The young brother in Miami. Young Hebrew brother in Miami, and Pauline Christianity and all of that. And earlier, when somebody hit me early, and they showed me they hit me earlier when Garfield and them was on. The Devils was on down the channel. When them brothers was on down there, he pulled up a slide. He was over polite. There's a polite Garfield going in. Come get some rest. I'm like, oh man, y'all doing too much right now, and I ain't knocked this coffee out. So by the time I get there and I see what's going on, they a full-blown swing, and Garfield and wild out and pulled up the whole screen. He got Baker. I'm not playing with these dudes. He said they got the business. I like you for that. He got the business. Come give us the business. He got the whole screen, and he's bringing up an interesting point, Baker. He got the whole screen with branches of Christianity. And if you don't know where Christianity come from, listen, Jason Brown, you smiling. I ain't playing. I said you got to watch it. My wife Jamaican. I got eye on them Jamaicans. He got that screen up there, and he got the branches of Christianity. And Sister E, he said some things that I've heard from some other people, and I'm going to ask you about that, because you're talking like you feel some type of way with these white folks. I hate to keep saying it like that, but do you believe that there's a wrong? Can I talk? Can I Baker? Can I lay it out? Can I lay it out, Baker? She ain't giving me a chance because she ready to jack. That's how the Israelites do you. You see, I threw it off on the Israelites now. But no, Sister E, in all seriousness, do you believe it's a Romanized Christianity? And it's another, because like I said earlier, somebody else said what y'all practicing here, and you kind of agreed with it. So you believe there's a Roman Christianity, and there was oh Lord, I can't talk. Go ahead, take the phone. Give it a microphone. They don't do the Houston. We got a problem. Give it a microphone. Go ahead, Sister E. You got.
I'm sorry. I don't want to be.
You can't help yourself. Go ahead.
I can't. But yeah, I think we are. I really do think that we are putting ourselves in a more Romanized version of the faith. Because everything we do is somewhat similar to Roman Catholicism. But because the thing is, when you think about it, don't get mad when I say this.
Wait a minute.
Let me finish my point.
Baker. No. Stop. I got it right there. That's how you got to do it, Jason. Because you agreeing with your arch enemies, the dagger. You would agree with them folk down the dial. You would agree with Garfield on here, Sister E. You would do that to me in the name of truth. I mean, let me hear what you got. Go ahead.
I'm just saying that we got to bring. I'm not, and let me say this: the faith is not bad, because I don't want people to run and be like, "Oh, no." I'm not saying that. I'm saying the things that we're doing. I'm finna say this, and people finna get in their feelings, and they need to get out of it. Why is it that we're worshiping on a Sunday when Sabbath was on a Saturday? I'm done. I'm not saying
Oh, I
nothing.
bet you are done. Let's close the church down right now. Come on, Baker. Let's pray. You talking and we done. We done. I knew she was going to do that. I knew she. Yo, Brown, you see why I be telling y'all we can't have her live? Come on, Baker.
What you want me to do? Answer the question or pray?
I don't even know what I want right now. Let me go back to the comments because you can't let them get to running amok. That's part of the problem. Now I got to go dig into the book. I suffer a woman not to. Come on, go ahead.
I tend to agree also, even if that might be my supposed enemy, that we do have, as I said before, a white palatable version of Christianity, and I believe that's been forced on us. But I don't believe that's why our spirit keeps striving in the faith. I believe because the spirit is true in the first place. And to go back to something that they said, when the white man gave us the religion, or did the white man give Joseph the religion in the Bible when he got captured and ended up in Egypt, or Moses when he ended up in Egypt, or Christ when he ended up in Egypt? You know, and we know this is a darker hued human beings, or all of these are darker hued human beings geographically from where they come from. So the white man to me did not give me this faith. God gave me this faith. I tried to get away from it. That's the thing. I tried to go into the Muslim faith or the 5% faith or the chakra system, and my spirit keeps dragging me back or guiding me back to the original seed. And that's where I really think it is. It's really faith-based. You have to step out on something that you cannot tangibly hold on to for everybody, because everybody wants solid, concrete proof. That's why they ask you stuff like, give me Jesus' bones. Well, how can I give you Jesus' bones if he was resurrected and transfigured and then taken up to heaven? How can I do that for you? You know, it's some of the stuff they ask is kind of ludicrous based on the faith that we believe. What they want and is what they can't have. And that's the bottom line. John 3:16 through 21 pretty much proves all that. It's either you believe or you don't. And one of the reasons I believe that we all believe is that in some way or fashion, Christ and the Spirit and God have worked in conjunction to do something for us personally, on a personal level, just to that they can't shake that faith. I know for me it has. I could go through some scenarios, but there's nothing else that could have brought me out of certain things but Christ and my faith. And there's nothing you can do. You can't bring up science. You can't bring up anything else to me that'll make it make sense other than me getting on my knees and saying, thank you, Lord, for bringing me through this. Thank you for giving me a chance to see these things from your perspective, not mine. And you know, these brothers on the other side, the Honor Squad, and said all they talk about is do for self. Now, there's elements of do for self that, yes, that God expects you to do, but to do for self, to exit him out of the equation is ludicrous to me. And I'm gonna pass it back.
Somebody just hit me, and I was just reading that. Somebody said, Berean, if y'all are using the book properly, you're gonna understand. I wonder if that's Moses with another email. Somebody hit me and said, if you're using the book properly and understanding its allegorical teachings, you'll know that the book is just basically the Bible came back and is part of other teachings that have always been around and always spread around if you understand it in its proper light. And race wouldn't be a thing because we're all spiritual people. Black people are oppressed, but we're all spiritual people. And I was just reading that while you were talking. What do you think about that before we get up out of here? Let me put some of this, and I'm gonna try to look down at some of these comments in here. Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. So this kind of reiterates kind of back to what we was talking about with truth and facts. All right. I want to kind of help clean that up for Brother Brown earlier on, but all right, so it's like this. I can clean it real simple. Fact is, I got on the sweatshirt. Fact is, I got on the daggone a cashmere color hat. Fact is, I got a beard. Fact is, I wear a size 13 shoe. But is it true? But is it true that I'm sin sick inside, that I'm gonna die tomorrow? No. Is it true that just because I got big feet that I'm gonna stumble down the block because I got big feet? No. Small, simple things. And it takes just simple understanding to separate facts from truth. And what they keep trying to do is they keep trying to pull up all kinds of historical facts. But what separates small facts from overall truth is that timeline we keep bringing up. If you can put all these facts in a timeline, in an accurate timeline, then we can establish truth. But they can't do that. So all they keep doing is popping up small, itty bitty facts here and there and here and there and try to substantiate the whole thing as this is the truth. No, brother, that is not the truth. That is just small facts that you're just dropping out your mouth with no timeline, no context. So there is no truth there.
Desmond, is there a difference between facts and truth? Desmond, you heard what I said, right? Is there a difference between facts and truth? That's something to look at. Somebody else hit me and said, the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of God, neither can he know them. They are foolishness unto him. Do you need to have a spiritual understanding to really grasp the book? Because they're trying to explain. That's how come even some scholars get confused. Scholars get to separate in the Bible and point out different things. Scholars read the Bible. A lot of scholars read the Bible for different reasons that a believer reads the Bible. They're not saying we don't have scholars like Bach and them. We don't got scholars like Mason them that are believers and read the text, but there's a lot that teach in a lot of universities, that teach in a lot of seminaries, and they don't read the text the same way. Is that a problem, Des? Is that a problem? And you got to answer that other question about truth and facts. And if somebody shows me something in the Bible, I got to be careful. If somebody shows me something in the Bible, and one verse would say something, let's say an amount of bathrooms. I don't want to deal with doctrine. Amount of bathroom in Solomon's house in this verse. Then I go to another verse and it gives me a different amount of bathrooms in Solomon's house, Jerome. And somebody bring that out as fact. It's a fact. This verse says he has this amount of bathrooms. That verse say he has that amount of bathrooms. Is that a problem to the faith? And I'm asking that for a reason. Is that a problem to the faith? Rose, is that a problem to the faith?
I would answer, okay, if that person wrote it, I would say, okay, that's just how many bathrooms you got a chance to see.
Okay, all right. I see that's a slick one right there. Come on.
All right, so if one scripture says it's got this many bathrooms, this scripture says that many bathrooms, just like Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. These are all their different perspectives, but they're talking about the same person, Jesus Christ, all right? And so from that person's perspective, this is what they saw. This is what they heard. If you read all four of them books, you'll see the similarities because they all saw the same thing. But you'll see some small differences because of their perspective from where they were sitting.
Okay, good point. Thomas White, you got anything in closing?
Yeah, man, I just want to
now remember, we started off, we wanted to talk about that whole other thing. So only a few people, somebody said, who was that earlier? Somebody said polite. Because we were saying if that thing could happen, what would y'all like to see? Is debates worth it? And if debates are worth it, Sister Punter, so many people said different things. Debate is worth it. Who got more to lose, the conscious community or the church? Is debating worth it? Who got more to lose, is the conscious community or the church? And the last one I asked, but I only seen one person put something up in there. Who would y'all like to see? Who would y'all like to see engaging? Especially if it's not no problem. It's not no problem with the money or whatever. And they're willing to come out and they're willing to share for people to get, for people to learn this knowledge. Who they willing to see? Only one person said polite and Damon Richardson. Anybody else before we get out of here? What about you? Who you like on there?
Can you hear me, brother friend?
I can hear you now.
Oh, okay, good. I've been having some audio stuff. I would say this: whoever's willing to do it without camera, without money, it should be the conversation.
You said without cameras?
Without camera. And debate. That's not the purpose of the debate.
She on mute forever. She's suspended for the rest of the semester. Come on, Harris. You finally done got out that tunnel. You could talk, and she's still jacking the joke. Yo, she ill.
Without camera, without money, and then we'll see what the real intent is behind all of it.
Oh, wait, without a camera, what good is that?
What good is it? Well, it exposes the truth. What is really behind all of this? Is it really necessary to correct the Christian brother to say that what he's saying are lies and you can actually prove it? Is it really necessary to correct someone from the conscious community that says that what he's saying is all lies and ain't no truth in it? I mean, without embarrassing one another or without having a financial gain. How important is it to you to expose these things, to bring them to light, to have conversation about it? I think you should be willing to go that far to prove what you're saying is accurate and correct.
So, all right, somebody said, that was Des. Des said, to you the second person saying that Damon Richardson and Polite. All right, somebody said Hagen. Somebody said Ray Hagen. Let me see. Hold on. Let me see. I want to read some more. Damon Richardson Hagen. All right, come on. Never, yeah, Des. All right, Des, that might be a lineup right there. No matter, I got to lay more into Dr. Maya. I heard us about some scholarship stuff because I've been recently trying to, just here and there. But yeah, Neffy and Dr. Maya to be okay. No matter, I can say, hold on, I gotta meet somebody here. Y'all get to doing what I got to come on live by myself, y'all, so I can talk my talk when I want to talk my scandal. Des, I'm gonna tell you right now, I heard Dr. Maya saying something about when somebody hit me with the whole thing with Pastor Bennett, and she was like, I think she said he was arguing, like, basically she was saying there's a lot of men that don't want to respect a woman, but in scholarship, basically there's no male, no female. And I agree with that 100%. But I think that is a decent lineup. I like that. Richardson sound good to me. Richardson and Polite. Richardson, because Polite a fast talker. You need the Damon Richardson, that'll be a good one right there. I think that'll be a better lineup because he's a fast talker. Now, I'm not saying nothing's wrong with that. Shout out to them brothers too. But and Neffy and Dr. Maya, that'll be good. That'll be good, right? I think Neffy is a professional. She's into the legal thing, right? She heavy to apologetics. Shout out to her. That would be a good thing. That'll be some good. Oh, y'all give me some more. That'll be a good one right there. But I'm telling y'all I'm telling y'all, anybody right now, and I've been telling you, G-Con, whoever was in that group, I've been telling y'all, if somebody point that Garfield in the right direction. But now, and I said to him, I'm gonna keep it 100. Y'all know I ain't biting my tongue. He said, yo, he don't even feel he need to be pointed in the right direction. He feel he got the business. Who you think it'll be a good person for him to talk to?
I would like to see, truthfully, my ultimate matchup would be you yourself, Berean, against Sinetta himself. Because
Sinetta ain't even really. I'm like Sinetta ain't really. We talking about the scholar. Sinetta ain't no scholar.
Well, then you can go against Garfield. Then I think you can go against.
Sinetta, I'm gonna talk that mess because remember, and then he called me. What he called me a couple of weeks back? He was like, "Yo, how come you?" I think what he said. How come you ain't have me on? You ducking me. I'm like, boy, they don't know this is all up my alley right here.
I know the move, but then it would be, I would say, you yourself against Garfield. I'd like to see that because both of you guys.
But Garfield is a scholar in the conscious community.
But that's all right. You don't consider yourself a scholar?
Garfield can talk to the bishop, Eric Mason. I think Polite will be better with me personally. I think Polite will be better with Richardson. And I don't know, Garfield might, I don't know, but for some reason he didn't say it. But if the thing do happen on the low, I think Garfield.
I could have Garfield.
I gotta mute everybody right now. I'm laying it down right now. I think Garfield on the low want to, just because of what jumped off. Y'all tell him I said this. Y'all tell him, matter of fact, I might have to get him on that, Jack. I think
He in
Garfield on the
here.
low rolls, Thomas White. I think Garfield on the low really want Vince Bantu, because Vince Bantu gave Jabari that work, and Garfield got something to prove right now. I ain't said he said it, but I'm just feeling this right now. But Vince Bantu got his game up. Oh, no, and Garfield like that second century. He liked that first century. He brought up a good point. Who you said? Marcion. And I got to be honest, nobody in the conscious community brought up that heretic. Get that right. Get that business to Unc. Unc want to call me and y'all a heretic. Marcion was a heretic. And I think so. I think that'll be decent. But Mesa give him something to talk about. Mesa give him something to talk. The only thing I don't like with Mesa, I'm like, yo, I be like, yo, you gotta drop, like they do some pre-debate stuff. You gotta put some business out there. He just be like, man, listen, he just more laid back with it. But boy, I'm gonna tell y'all what, I spent a lot of time talking to Dr. Eric Mason. I think these guys, they read a lot and they talk a lot, but because they see some of these guys preaching, they don't know the depths. They don't know the depths of the knowledge. You don't have to go deep in the pulpit. I'm sorry, that was wrong. Rose, I shouldn't have said that publicly, but you don't have to go deep in the pulpit like that. I know Des and them is in here. Listen, Rome, I'm just gonna keep it 100 with y'all. Y'all ain't got to go deep like that in the pulpit. Somebody said, oh, Adam Coleman. Yeah, Adam Coleman drove, man, Adam Coleman, the fool. He drove hours to get to Ray Hagan. Yeah, Adam Coleman and Ray, that would be interesting, but Ray is not really, I don't know. I don't even think, to be honest, I don't even think that Ray is on that other level. I don't think Ray is up there with, especially behind that Wesley Muhammad. I don't think Ray is on that level with like Dr. Mayyad and with Garfield and them are trying to present themselves. They got some good stuff and I'm seeing it. But boy, I like the business to be all presented. But I don't think that Ray is really on that level like that. But that'll be good because Ray talk a lot and he's popular. So and Adam is that'll be decent. Adam will be decent for Ray. That'll be real nice right there. That's a decent lineup.
I got a question.
Thing is, can we make it happen? Some people say sometimes public pressure, so they got to put pressure on them. I was like, man, these dudes playing themselves. These dudes just want a rematch, but you got to start thinking about the people. Did we get the wrong information? I don't want to sit back and say Jabari's a lie. I don't want to be nice guy smiling. I don't want to think, I don't want to think nothing crazy. I don't want to talk too much on it. But
he did get the wrong information.
If something could happen, I think maybe it will be beneficial for the people, and that's especially after hearing y'all, and it's something that the people will want, because it's more and more people. Like I said, I know Christians on the low, they go over there, and maybe because I'll be mentioning signing to them, they go and they listen to certain stuff. Some people do it because they're apologists. Other people do it because they're into the culture and they want information on the culture, and they can't get that Sunday morning. Come on, Jason Brown, speak on that right there. Let me read some more of these names, but that's a good lineup right there. We're gonna see if some doors can open up.
Somebody put Berean versus
no people about no chicken later on. Come give that business.
Hey, I'm thinking, I'm like, are we talking about a hood scholarship or are we talking about scholarship? Because if you really want to debate something, first you got to present a dissertation with all your evidence back. Other than that, we just sitting here talking amongst each other on our feelings. But if you want to do accurate scholarship, there must be a dissertation, a thesis, and you have to rebut what is already there. You just on a camera saying it ain't true ain't gonna work. So if we're talking about hood scholarship, then I could see going with all those matchups. But you're talking about scholarship, you got to be scholars against scholars in that field.
Yeah, but I don't know if but Garfield offered me today. He said he said do you want to see my degree? I don't know what his degree is in and what field. Because usually when we deal with scholarship, if your degree is in theology, if your degree is in the sciences, what your degree is in. Like I said, Omar Johnson can't sit down with Omar Johnson. It's not fair. It's not fair. It's not sensible for Omar Johnson to sit down with a Damon Richardson and talk Bible. That's not his lane. He can talk Africa, but that's not his lane. Garfield said he wanted to be a minister. So he got to have a good knowledge of what they're talking about in seminary. He got to have a good idea. Come on out. And one thing I like that he always say, ask what you call them. I said, I'm telling y'all, Garfield gonna try to get y'all with the consensus among scholars is. Now, he don't know them scholars ain't dealing with the Pew and, a lot of stuff going on down here, but the mere fact he'll say the consensus among scholars is. And a lot of times that'll shock people, because what we believe and what we talk about in church Sunday and Wednesday and Friday night and every other night y'all go, Saturday morning, Shabbat and all of that stuff, a lot of scholars don't talk about the same stuff that we talk about. And there is a difference. So he could get them on the shock factor alone. So I'm telling my man and them, until we prep people and drop videos talking about different things when it was lining up to the video before, when it was coming up to that, should we do that? They were just like, nah, listen. They ain't got to even talk about it. They ain't got to have no pre-debate. No professionals don't do that. Scholars don't do that. Ain't no pre-debate warm up. Ain't no none of that. It's going to be that business. You got that business, bring that business. So that's what they were telling me. So I'm doing it a different way, because I see such and such. I see how, other people. I said, no, such none of them, they would get on and they would talk like a warm up and all that. They'd be like, listen, scholars don't do that. I'm like, all right, well, y'all are scholars. I'm going, y'all are scholars, what y'all say. So just bring it out. I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be interesting, especially seeing the ladies go in. But it sounds like, from what I'm hearing, it sounds like Dr. Mayat ain't Dr. Mayat is a woman, but she like she'll give a man that work. Like, she'll give a man that work. I'm like, well, wait a minute now. We might have to lay into this, but we got some sisters that got the business too now. I think Nuffy can handle that business very well. And then if this thing do happen, it'll be big. It'll be big. I don't know how they're gonna do it. I'd rather everybody just come out and like we were saying earlier, 3-on-3. A 3-on-3 will be a problem. You all know I'm gonna be there live and we're gonna talk that talk. Everybody gonna get the business, because you can say what you want. That Vince Bantu thing, it wasn't really it wasn't really publicized like a lot of people thought. A lot of people, that whole thing with Sinetta and them, hopefully that stuff will work out so we can get this information out there. But it need to be that can get popular. That can get popular, because there's a lot of people, and urban apologists been out here talking. People been out here talking. Sinetta and them, conscious community, they've been out here for years. They've been out here for years talking that talk. And, we just thought Brother Chris, he was going to bring the thing together, make it happen, run up on Sinetta and then be like, yo, y'all been talking for a minute. I told y'all the Christians ran up on them. And you ain't just running up on anybody and thinking you playing games. You got to have something ready for them. And like I said, I think after Sinetta, the mere fact that he had to scramble and grab some of the best of the best. He didn't just say he's going to just rock out with his one team. He had to look for the best of everywhere. And automatically, there were names that did come up. As soon as they started talking about they can rock out with the best, they did bring up Jabari. They brought up Garfield. They brought up Polite. And then I don't know how, even when a woman came in, and that was a little bit later, they did bring up that sister, Dr. Mayat. They did bring them up. Unc was there from the beginning on the phone. Unc was there from the beginning on the phone, so it's a lot, but it was a kind of lack of communication or whatever. But we're going to all try to see if we can, we can just let cooler heads prevail and just get out there. And, we don't want to rock out with no egos and anything, but we want this information to be out. Like I like what Jeff said, we on a mission because we believe the Most High has called us to a work. So, we want to evangelize in a way, but me, most of the time, I'm just like, it's important for people to get the information to make informed decisions. Because some people think they would attempt to make some decisions that's not informed, and because you only hear A, B, C, and D, and you don't get the rest of the story, it could be that we've played people by leaving certain things out. It could be that we've played people by leaving certain things out. So I can't say that. I'd like to see it happen. It'll be a good thing. I think it'll be beneficial. And for you other people that's running around here scared, I might call, somebody else said that with Sinetta, I might call terrorize Sinetta tonight. And he been steady on the Bible like he evangelist. He's steady banging on the Bible. You don't know. But I'm going to tell y'all one more thing, and I ain't going to say no more too. There's a reason I don't want to go if I'm talking to somebody in the conscious community about that stuff, I get off the phone, Bible thumpers are going to be more mad at me than the conscious community. And that's not ready. That's not really good for my position. I already got beef with these Israelites. Shout out to Majors and the Israelites I rock out with. Rose and them Israelites that I rock out with. I already got beef, so I would have extra beef because the Bible tells us, and you said that. But that's what the scholars. So if I say what the scholars say, then they'll be offended because, like I said, there are some things that goes on in that world that they discuss in seminary that a good percentage of the people in the pews don't know, and that could be a problem. Let me read some of these comments. Come on, Rose. You want to say something before we got out of here? And I want to give it to White.
I want to ask a real quick question because I caught Dagger Squad and them earlier on, talking, loud and saying nothing. But a couple questions that I have is like this. So they said that there was a complication with, supposedly it was supposed to be a team thing, and then they ran off and said, well, they picked their best of their best. We supposedly picked the best of our best. And then they tried to say that, I don't know if this is true or not. They say that it got solidified down to Jabari, and Jabari was supposedly, they was saying that, oh, you going to go up against both pastors? So they got confused and saying that Vince Montu, and they tried to say that Dr. Eric Mason was both going to be going against Jabari, and they was like, no, hold on.
It was definitely some miscommunication. It was.
Well, see, the other funny thing is this: when I start watching them, like I said, talking loud and saying nothing this morning, they were sitting there trying to make it sound like they first went on a tangent talking about how it was a setup because supposedly the Christian community already had good substantial evidence, but supposedly Jabari wasn't ready. But then when they elected Jabari to speak for them on their behalf, and then he lost the debate. We all believe
but apparently he didn't. Nobody know that's where I said it's a miscommunication. He didn't, apparently he weren't selected to speak on their behalf. This is what people are saying. But I think they're gonna try to work. I think they're gonna try to discuss some of that to work that. I know for one thing that if we're gonna even try to go forward and try to get a little connection with certain people, like I'm saying, like with Richardson or whatever, or even if we would start that lineup and get Neffy and them and Dr. Mayat and them to go in. I know that other thing, we're gonna have to make sure nothing like that happens again. That's gonna have to be so something's gonna have to work out with that whole situation right there, because that and stuff could get ugly quick. And like I said, I don't want nobody to throw Jabari under the bus, but the story, the stories definitely differ. The stories definitely differ, but from my understanding, before I actually turned my computer on, they telling me that Garfield pulled up receipts, like he got the text message and he pulled it up. And if that's true, that's a whole nother thing, because we already know. Well, I'm gonna leave that one alone. We just got to.
The question though was saying that what's funny is that they saying that okay, well, that's interesting that you mentioned that, because even I don't know the truth on that one. Well, who was supposed to speak, and then Jabari get put in and they placed or what? But then they try to make it sound like eventually, after they got to talking about all this, then they went so far as to saying that the Christian community picked Jabari because Jabari's a closet Christian. This is
because I think he's spiritual.
This is what they said.
Like
this is what they said this morning on Dagger Squad. They said they essentially called Jabari a closet Christian, and that's why the Christian community chose Jabari, because he's a closet Christian, and that we chose someone that was going to essentially.
It wasn't none of that. It wasn't none of that.
That's what they said, though.
That wasn't the reason, though. That wasn't the reason. Like I said, we're gonna try to get that whole thing worked out right there, and hopefully, I don't even want to talk about too much, and hopefully we can get this thing jumping, because I think it'll be more beneficial for the people to hear it as opposed to beefing about that last thing. We already got that. Jabari did lose, but they really claim that they got some other information. I was a little shocked. I can't tell y'all that I was a little disappointed. I was a little disappointed at the Floyd Mayweather. I was a little disappointed at Jabari because he used certain things, and Garfield's like, man, listen, basically, listen, I ain't finna use, wasn't nobody finna use that nonsense. But in all fairness, I heard from my man Mouth. He said, no, one thing we ain't got to worry about. Garfield is not getting up there with that ISIS Jesus nonsense. He said that out of his mouth. I wasn't on the call with him. My man said, "No, you ain't got to worry about that. He's not getting up there with that. You know, he's coming from he probably come from a different angle, but he's not that silly. He's not on that, you know, level like that." So I could say I did hear that before it jumped off. So that's the only reason I gave ear to him and Unc when they called and they hit me. I'm listening. I'm like, they telling me it's a whole different thing. But they say they did have a level of, did have a different level of material. So I just felt in my heart that they got a different level of material. I don't know about how the whole situation went down, but if they got a different level of material, let them bring it out. Because like I said, on the low, and I don't want people to get mad at me, but on the low, the church need to get banged on a little bit. That's how come I let Sister E and them hang out, because Jason Brown, you can say what you want. Some stuff we do is madness. That's how come I said I'm backing up off the community. Because with some of the stuff we doing is gang banging in the name of flags and, you know, just whatever. Come on, Brown, and I'm gonna give it to White if you want to close out, White. Come on, we got 2 minutes. I'm gonna get out of here.
I was gonna say, real quick,
y'all put $1 in that PayPal. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Regarding that situation, it just came down to the conscious community couldn't get their scholars together, and Jabari was ready, and Jabari wanted to promote his temple as being like comedic spirituality beating up on.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I don't want to speak on it because I'm not sure. I'm saying everybody is shocked because we heard something different. And so now my thing, the only thing I could say is somebody lying. Because these two stories are too far apart from each other. Somebody lying. And you know, but we just don't know who. But like I said, it looks like Garfield wanted to pull up some information and some other stuff. But I'd rather want to deal with, I guess they'll you know, Chris and them. I don't even know how it'll even be with Sinetta now with this thing. I did speak to Garfield earlier, and I did ask him if he think, you know, even if the thing could move on, you know, is Sinetta gonna, you know, how important a role is, you know, Sinetta with the thing, you know, and that's just me saying that because there were fingers pointing at, like, you know, at Sinetta or whatever. But like I said, I don't want to get into that whole thing. I just rather try to see if we can make something happen real quick and get this information out here. Them brothers are all right. Them brothers ain't, you know what I'm saying? They respect for Unc is ill. He was trying to before he was like, I guess he could talk without cussing. Plenty people could talk without cussing, but I'm not playing with that dude talking about we over here. I'm talking about I'm not gonna let that go. He ain't gonna call me no heretic over here, y'all. And I know atheists. I ain't playing with him right now.
He called us the muscle. That's what was funny. He was like, Pastor Mason, them, see, they like to chill. But
yeah, and then I ain't playing with him. But shout out to them dudes, and you know, and it'll be for them. I know they're trying to share that information, and if we ain't got nothing to hide, we gonna let them share. If we ain't got that, I ain't got nothing to hide. And there's some things I feel, and I know who the everlasting God is, and there's some things I understand about that book. Now, my thumpers, they don't like, you know, they may not want the depths of the explanation of that because, you know, they're gonna, you know, people just different with it. People just different with it. But we definitely got to talk about that. Let me see if it's any other. Come on, White, say something in closing. I know you've been putting in that where you like typing. I want to make
sure. So I just want to say, you know, definitely with the whole situation, we don't know.
I see Dagger Squad in here. What's good? All right, let me see. I'm sorry. Go ahead, White. You got the floor.
I was just going to say, you know, as far as what went on behind the scenes, you know, we can, you know, speculate a little bit, hear a few stories, but ultimately, you know, hopefully they resolve that, you know, somewhere,
I want them to, yes.
You know, behind scenes and all those things.
Yeah.
But you know, definitely, you know, we definitely hear the conscious community. I think it's.
Let me ask you a question. I'm sorry. Who you want to see? What you think? What you think will pique your interest? Who?
Listen. I want to see you and Aunt go at it because you know y'all ratchet.
Oh, matter of fact, I might have to hit golf. I'll terrorize Unc. I remember I seen that other. Unc got a couple of videos out there, but I'm gonna terrorize Unc.
Listen,
I'm gonna terrorize Unc. I think me and golf will have a more civil. What you call it? But
I don't want to see civil.
Oh, you want to see ignorant? We gotta line it up then. Oh, yeah. Uncle, that ignorant talk. I love that ignorant talk. We gotta make that happen. But now the only thing is I don't know. Well, let me see what the bishop done to me. Let me see what the church.
New York against New
York.
York.
Know we do believe
exactly.
We do believe in some protocol. And
I think
I'm trying to move with some people. I'm trying to move with some people, and I'm trying to peek the finesse. He's like, he said, Berean in that heretic group over there. That group, what he said, not the bullies. He used some other word.
Yeah,
And
we
shout out to him.
militant.
I'm gonna straighten you out, Unc. I'm
We
me
the
and you
muscle.
going live. Matter of fact, that's just what we're gonna do. I'm gonna talk to him before this whole thing even get lined up. I'm gonna make sure I get on and I'm gonna build with Unc.
Yeah,
No
let
matter
the
What he
I
called
told
Jason?
Sinetta-
What
no matter I
Uncle?
did tell Sinetta I was gonna hit him. I did tell Sinetta I was gonna hit him to get him on. And people in Sunday Seminary been asking me about Sinetta, and then somebody else text me and hit me and be like, yo, because I don't even be really watching them urban apologists and all of that. My mind be somewhere else. I be going in with, like I said, I'm going in with these Freemasons and hanging out with these other people. Somebody told me Sinetta was on Adam Coleman podcast. Is that correct? I could be wrong. I don't want to be just saying stuff out there. And I'm like, oh, so let me find out. I didn't even know that. So people be hitting me with stuff because I got so much other stuff going on. But
yeah, he called us Team Heretic.
yeah, Team Heretic. Oh no, especially not from a black atheist. Like I said, I can see if the Bible thumpers and the urban apologists, they'll call us that, but no, not him. Who else? What's going on? BK Apologist. I know he's here. Call you Team. Yes, he sure did. Sinetta was on True ID. You see that? No, we're gonna have to do something. We're gonna have to let them get out here. But I know after saying this, I might get some mail and stuff like that. Because the first thing, if they're going to feel this way about just even discussions and, like I said, even mentioning people names and and Kelly and Sister E and Israelites that I rock out with, that's going to be a problem, especially if we start giving light to to the Garfield and them, what information they want to bring out. That's going to get some of the Bible thumpers mad. So I'm gonna just wait and get some stuff coming down. Hopefully it's gonna trickle down from the top, and I'm just rocking out with them. I'm down with them, but I'm just, we're gonna see how it works. We're gonna work this thing out. Shout out to everybody. Like I said, everybody in urban apologetics. Shout out to everybody in the conscious community. It's like BK Apologist, my man Rome. Shout out to Sister Neffy, shout out to Vocab and all of them. Adam and Richardson ain't even been putting in that work, but them people is putting that work in. The scholars and the lay people alike. Shout out to Sinetta and the whole conscious community. I'm glad that this whole thing jumped off so I can see, and I'm going to keep banging. Listen, I'm not playing golf, and I'm not playing with you folk, and I'm going to keep saying, why didn't y'all call out Pseudo Seti and them? Why don't you call out Pseudo Ray Hagen? Now that we see that there's people that's on a different level, like Dr. Mayat and them, and then from what I'm hearing, and Garfield and from kicking it with them, that they're on a different level from young Pharaoh and them now. So my thing is, let the word now, and because if we've been calling out people and speaking on people that's really been pseudo, and there's some other folk over here and they really got that business, we got to go where the work is. Let me call Dr. Mason. I know he in the church, he a busy man, but I got to call him about this. Because if they got the work and they really got the work, we could have been wrong pointing in that direction of Ray Hagen. If they don't really represent they'll be in there, they'll do whatever. But if they don't really represent it, it's all in all fairness. If I'm a believer, in all fairness, we would have to do this, especially if we believe it's beneficial to the body and believers, and it's not really about no money at all. It just has to be. All right, White, do me a favor. Go ahead, give us some closing. What you go once I read these last comments out here. Straw man tactics. Okay, that was something else.
Yeah. So
BK, so we got a muzzle Berean. Go ahead. I'm gonna read. Go. You got the floor.
Got a muzzling. But the dialogue is good. I think it's good to have dialogue. I think it's good to have civilized dialogue. Because definitely, one thing is that I think we have to realize is that we're having dialogue for a different reason. We're not having dialogue just to have it. We're not having dialogue to convince somebody that they're wrong. We're ultimately having a dialogue because Jesus called us to. And I know that sounds, far-fetched to the people who don't believe. But we're called to spread, light, and whether or not you end up, becoming, a believer or not, overall, we just want you to be edified, lifted up, and to see that, our minds aren't colonized. We're free to do, and live as, ultimately God has called us to, but we're free to live freely. And that freedom looks different from the way that people want us to. All right. So the way that we speak is different. And I think ultimately, like, people people hate us just because we are Christian. And I, like I said, I hate it, but it's basically, Jesus told us this already, that they would hate us because they hate him first.
But I think I think it's a little problem. Like somebody was just hitting me right now. It's a little problem because some people would say, matter of fact, let me just ask you this one thing, right? You think it could be a problem because just the going back and forth? Because like I said, when Jabari got up in there with that nonsense, I was like, man, listen, if you don't believe Jesus is the Son of the living God, I'm not dealing with you. Garfield called me 2 days later. Do you think that could be a problem right there? Or some people be like, listen, you heard what Sister E said. That sounded a little bit radical to some folk. Of course, they're on the other side saying you can't even be woke and be a believer. But everybody's looking at certain people and saying certain people have caused trouble to certain other people. That we cannot deny.
Right.
Some people have caused troubles to other people, and maybe we should, look beyond all of this stuff. That other people in the continent of Africa with different spiritualities, different spiritual systems, work together. But you work together for the greater common good. And we got the other people over there be like, listen, if those are not believers, don't deal with them at all. I'm gonna just talk a little bit on that before we get up out of here.
Yeah, and I think it's both ways. I think people have seen, like people will say, people will say, I haven't met a lot of people that won't actually, band arms and work with somebody when it comes down to it. There are some people that will definitely do that. But, I don't think most Bible believing Christians that have good doctrine, and keep that in mind, I said good doctrine, will actually, exclude people from doing the work that it takes to make people's lives better. Now, I do believe that there are some lines that have to be drawn. If we believe different spiritually, then I agree. Somebody has to be right. Somebody has to be wrong, because it can't be both ways. Either there is a God or there isn't a God. Either Jesus is who he says he is, or he's not. And so when it comes to those things, definitely, we can't, we can work together, but we don't have to believe the same things. But when it comes down to it, when everything, matters most, spiritually is what matters most, and I would say if you're an atheist, you don't believe that there's an afterlife. If you're an atheist and you don't believe in an afterlife, then what I'm saying doesn't matter. But if you have the reality of there's something being there after you die, then you have to find out what that is. And so I think that that's our desire. And this is why we name ourselves Christians, is because we believe that there is something after you die, and we believe that we have the best solution and answer for it. But that's not going to exclude me from rubbing shoulders with you and attempting to fix our community.
Amen. Grace and peace, Alton. Where you been, in Jerusalem? I ain't see you in a minute. All right, we're gonna get out of here. Who was that? Somebody said they were home. That was brother. Who was that? I was just reading. Somebody said they were homesick, but we made their day. Brother Jeremy, yeah, we praying for you, bro. Are we glad we didn't end up even how long we were on here? Oh man, but I see that y'all messing around and waking me up, messing around with golfing, and y'all got me going long and long and long, and we doing all this middle of the day stuff now. When I said we ain't gonna be dealing with them folk over there and touching on no issues, but something stirring, something happened, something need to happen, and it's just it's all in divine timing. It's all in God's timing, and we're gonna do what we all believe that we're called to do. We definitely got a charge. It's no hate. We're gonna talk that wreck. Like I said, shout out to them. And it's all respect and everything, because that's the main thing. When we start dealing with this spirituality, we say if a man say he is spiritual, baker, if a man say he have a spirituality in your actions, in your language, and in your actions, it shall show. And I heard them brothers saying that I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do whatever, and I just never done that because that's just who I am outside of religion. And we have to talk about that. That's something different. We'll talk about that maybe tonight when we get on there. Okay, thank you. We'll talk about that tonight when we get on there. And all right with that. All right with that. We out of here. We're gonna definitely discuss some other stuff in that chat. I had this thing long enough. I gotta let them check these other emails and stuff. All right, y'all. We'll be back on later.